Very good evening to you, and welcome to the West Ham Voice on a Saturday night. It's just I'm bored, so I thought I might as well go on. I was going to go on last night, but as one or two of you may know who follow who are on my Facebook account, you would have noticed that I got a little bit too drunk and was listening to a lot of music that I hadn't listened to for quite a long time. So I thought, you know what? I'm not going to go on. I'm just going to go and enjoy myself. The missus is away, so what could I do? You know, got a little bit drunk and I just listened to some old tunes. So I thought I'd make amends. There's probably a load of people are out and about on a Saturday night. I did send a message out and saying if anybody wants to be on the show, making a cameo appearance, then email me because it's meant to be a fans forum. And so far, I've received no emails. So so if you want to come on the show, comment at the bottom. Comment at the bottom. I'll go through all the comments and I'll send you a link. What am I going to talk about? Well, it was meant to be you guys, whatever you want to talk about. I've got a few things, things like the so-called Qatari takeover, Jesse Lingard, how David Moyes is doing, and what your thoughts are on Moyes, or is it too early to say? Are we going to see Kudus play? And if so, who's he going to come in for? And various other things. But I'll let the evening be dictated to by you guys. So let's go all the way to the top and see what the comments are. Good evening, Epic. I hope you're well, mate. How are you? Good evening to you, John. How are you? I'm on the rum listening tonight. I am on the rum. I'm a bit disappointed, actually. If anyone wants to contribute and get me another bottle of that, Captain Morgan's Black Spice, then you're more than welcome to. That's it. That's the third bottle gone in the space of a few months. Cheers. Good evening to you, Ray. How are you? Good evening, Scott. How are you, mate? I hope you're well. Scott's got a question. So let's start with that. How does David Moyes line up against City? He won't drop Souček and Paquetá and Alvarez and Ward-Prowse have all been on fire. Will he go 4-1-4-1? If so, that's a waste of Paquetá's talents. It's a really good question because we all know that almost definitely, from what we understand, Souček's played, hasn't he, for the Czech Republic? So we know that he'll be back, and we know what David Moyes said after the last game, that we missed him. We didn't miss him, I know he's one of David Moyes' favourites, but let's be really honest, we didn't really miss him in the last game that we played. So he will bring Souček back, but who steps out for him? I think the obvious, to be quite honest with you, is going to be Benrahma. I think he'll be the fall guy. And I think Souček will come in and Benrahma will go to the subs bench. But Benrahma's it's a bit weird, isn't it? Because he didn't start off the season very well. And he had to be dropped for the Brighton game, was it, when Souček got the clash? I think it was. And then Benrahma came on and was superb, set up the Bowen goal and he looked back on form, and then we went into the last game before the international break, and it felt like Benrahma I don't know what's wrong with him. He's now a first choice player at West Ham United, but sometimes he lets himself down a little bit. Is it complacency? I'm not so sure. It's not that he's being played out of position. He's played in that position ever since he's been at West Ham on the left side. I know he can play in the middle, but I think he's going to get very few chances to do so. So it was a bit of a surprise that Benrahma didn't really have such a good game in the last game against Luton before we had the international break. So who will drop out for him? Will he go 4-1-4-1? I don't know, is the honest answer. I think if it's going to be the 4-1-4-1, obviously you're going to see Alvarez be the pivot just in front of the back four. And then the 4-1... if Souček is back in, you're going to have Souček, Ward-Prowse, Bowen, and Paquetá, and that means Paquetá probably being pushed out on the left-hand side. I'm not so sure that would do him too much of a favour, and I think that's probably what you're getting at, Scott. So I don't know, to be quite honest with you. What you tell me your thoughts as to what he'll do. Of course, we still have Kudus to bring in as well. So will we see him get game time and his starting time? I think probably. We'll probably see him start in the cup competitions more than anything. Good evening to you, Hammers Mikey. Not wrong about the weather. I've been sweating all day. Good evening, Stu. I hope you're well. A nice way to spend a Saturday evening with no match of the day. Well, nothing to moan about there. You know, we won't be on last, and and then the commentators say very little. The pundits say very little about us. I've been watching rugby. I don't follow rugby, so I have no clue what's been happening in that. Good evening to you, Richard. How are you? Lingard is supposed to take mercenary with cryptic clue rubbish on social media. Willie won't eat any, took the money from Forest, didn't even try. Well, there's another thing, Lingard. Is he coming back? Do we even need Lingard, to be honest with you? It's an odd one, isn't it? Because I think the shoe's on the other foot now. Whereas we know he had a load of offers beginning of last season, Nottingham Forest and West Ham, etc., were chasing him. This time round, I'm not so sure. I hear that apparently Wolves have got an interest, and there's some interest from Saudi clubs and some other clubs as well. But I don't know how many of those rumours are actually true, and whether Lingard is going to. I mean, he played behind closed doors the other day against Ipswich in a game that was drawn 1-1. And apparently, the story's out at the moment is that the jury's out. The staff at West Ham United are probably not as convinced as they thought they might be. He must be woefully out of form in order for West Ham not to turn around and immediately snap him up. So it's interesting whether West Ham, and when I say the shoe's on the other foot, this time round, we more or less, I think Lingard wants to come back to West Ham. I think that's pretty much obvious. Yes, he has other offers, and I think if West Ham don't bring him in, I think he will accept another offer. But he must be woefully out of form for West Ham not to have signed him up already. So the shoe's on the other foot this time round. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. Stu, just turned over just in time to see we all follow the West Ham tune. From where? From mine? What? You've lost me. Where were you switching over from? Hammers Mikey. Still got Rule Britannia ringing in my ears and some opera. Is that from the rugby? Richard, even if he's fit, Lingard can go. He's a mercenary through and through. Well, I think he's learnt his lesson. I mean, all right, it didn't do us any favours because I think we could have made. What would have happened if we actually? I mean, look at his form last season against for Nottingham Forest. He was woeful. Would he have wasted a place in our squad being that way? I don't know. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because it certainly wasn't the right fit. He chased the money. We know that. And I think he regrets it. But I just wonder if he did come to West Ham, if he was as bad as he was for Nottingham Forest, what then? I mean, we certainly wouldn't be talking about having him at West Ham now. The conductor wasn't even British. What are you all watching? Are you all watching the proms or something on TV? Is that on? Who else we got? Stu. Is Lingard off to Wolves or are we getting him? I haven't bothered with the news this week. Don't know. He definitely played, as I said. He definitely played in a friendly for West Ham United against Ipswich. I think he made about 70 minutes before he was subbed off. And the stories are that he simply isn't fit enough. Certainly not match fit. It's going to take him a bit of time. Maybe, it depends on how desperate Lingard is to sign up for a club. Maybe Moyes might give him a few more weeks and see what happens. But there was kind of hope, I guess. Well, hope for Moyes more than anyone else that he was going to sign him up before the Man City game. And that doesn't look like it's happening at the moment. Richard, he's still training, but Moyes is undecided. He's Moyes' favourite. Just hate what he did. Leaves a bad taste. Yeah, and I've got to be honest with you, Richard. When I first heard the route, well, let's take him off. When I first heard the rumour about Lingard possibly coming back to West Ham, I was a bit like you. My emotion got the better of me, and I said, "There's just absolutely no way. There's absolutely no way I want Lingard, especially what he did, etc., etc." I just didn't think it was the right thing to do. And then I started to think about, okay, well, let's put the logic in, take the emotion out. Look, if we get a Lingard of 2-3 seasons ago when he was with us, of course you take him back. If we get the Lingard of last season, Nottingham Forest, I think probably not. You wouldn't want him back. But if he can, he could certainly be if we sign him, he could certainly be an option for us at West Ham United. He could certainly be a player that can come on, bit part. He can't play in Europe. He hasn't been registered, but certainly in the Premier League, it gives us that opportunity, doesn't it? To use him, fresh legs for European games. Certainly don't play certain players for the league. He can do it in the league, but it depends on to what level. Hammers Mikey. Got to be down to Moyes, this Lingard stuff. He begged Lingard to come back to us. He could have trained with any other club nearer to his home, but why us? Well, I don't know if you remember me saying, and my understanding is it's still is that Lingard has a flat or has an apartment. Don't call them flats when they're multi-million-pound things, aren't they? He's got an apartment in the same building as David Moyes. Now, this is something that is not breaking news. This is something that we've known about for quite a number of years. And I think what happened was when Lingard moved to West Ham, I don't know if he's bought it or whatever, but apparently when Lingard moved to West Ham, when he was on loan to West Ham, he moved into an apartment in the same building as David Moyes did. So they're kind of neighbours. So Lingard, I think, does spend some time in London in order, and that's probably why he is training with us. I absolutely have no doubt that David Moyes has asked him to train with us, without a shadow of a doubt. I can see that, but I'm just not sure he's impressed even David Moyes for Moyes to want to sign him up. Richard, what gets me most about it? He kept us waiting and waiting with his cryptic stuff, then went to Forest and he was rubbish, got fat, don't care. If he's fit, he did, absolutely. Don't disagree with you at all. Don't disagree. Good evening, Wayne. I hope you're well. Come to check this out. Hello from Dallas. Thank you for joining, mate. Really much appreciated. And you're very welcome. Stu, I wonder if we'll get Lingard Steiden. I wonder if we'll get a Lingard Steiden photo. Easy jet from Manchester to London. Good evening, Steve. How are you? Good evening to you, Jason. How are you, mate? Good evening, usual. Lingard gave West Ham the finger last season. It's only fair we do the same. Well, like I said, I think now it's in our it's up to us rather than it being up to. I mean, he led us on, didn't he, last season? But this time round, he doesn't really have. It's not for him. If we turn him down, then it's our choice rather than him doing it to us. Adam, good evening to you. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Steve, people said about Maguire and Phillips getting into the England squad and JWP and Bowen didn't, but how on earth did Gallagher get in? He did nothing. It's an interesting one, isn't it? Because when we saw the news about the England squad and we didn't see James Ward-Prowse and we didn't see Bowen in the squad, we did ask the question, didn't we? What have you got to do to get into the England squad? It's really interesting because Southgate was praising Bowen only recently and talking about how he would have liked to have had him in the squad for the World Cup, etc. But Southgate also did say when he first took the job on, I'll pick players on merit. I'll pick players when they're actually, when they're worthy of being picked. And now you've just reeled out Gallagher. He's been poor, hasn't he? He's not been great for Chelsea at the beginning of the season. Maguire is warming the subs bench up. And you do have to ask the question, what is going on with Southgate? Now, again, trying to be logical, trying to sort of put some logic behind his selections. I think he's got a good, tight-knit squad, of players who have been in that England squad for quite some time. They've gotten to know each other. They sort of gel as a unit. So I kind of get that. But there are a few players that you've got to sort of say to yourself, hang on a minute. Maddison, I saw the first half of the England game earlier on, then I kind of fell asleep on the sofa. Switched it off and just fell asleep. That must have been the run from last night. But I watched the first half and I asked myself, did Maddison do enough to warrant being even in the first 11, let alone in the squad itself? And I just thought to myself, I don't know. I think there are players. If Southgate is true to his word, he'll pick players that are being picked on merit. And you've got to say, James Ward-Prowse and Bowen, at the very least, being, even if they don't get a start, even if they don't come on and they sit on the subs bench, you've got to say that they're absolutely worthy of being selected, which is really, really weird. Paul, what time zone do I work from? The UK one, mate. Why? I I wasn't late again, was I? Steve, Stell's just put in Betty back in the cupboard. Been bumping her all day. Mr. McLaren, how are you? I hope you're well. Thank you for joining, mates. I work on Cyprus time. If I was working on Cyprus time, you'd still be waiting. Trust me. Mind you. Yeah, it feels like Cypriot weather out there at the moment. Cracking game of rugby. I don't know who played. Seriously, I have no clue. Let's scroll down. What's right? Exactly. Rum, sodomy, and the lash. Only when the missus is away. Who else we got? Hammers Mikey. True, Steve. What did Steve say? Steve said something further up. I don't know what he said, but true, Steve. I was a little bit jealous when Bob Hoskins was shagging her in Who Framed Roger Rabbit. I see where this is going. Jason, is Bowen going to get a deal soon? Yeah, they're negotiating. Look at the way Jared Bowen has been speaking about West Ham United. I don't think he's not going anywhere. I laughed when Salah was from Liverpool was being linked to the Saudis, and the story started coming out before the transfer window shut that Klopp wants Bowen, and I just laughed. I thought, if there's anyone you're not getting, it's Jared Bowen. Not because not only would we not sell, but also, to be quite honest with you, I don't think Bowen will want to go. Bowen has been waxing lyrical about the way we've been playing our football for the last this season. He's scoring goals from it. He's not going to bloody, he's the main. Do you know what's interesting? What's interesting is now with that number 41 gone, people are beginning to sort of like. Bowen has always been an important player for West Ham. Don't get me wrong, but I think now. I think he senses, there's a talismanic role to be had here. Paquetá can be one of those. Alvarez can be one. Bowen can be one. All of a sudden, it's become a team effort. It's not so much about, let's look to the number 41 and see what happens there. It's more about how can we all get involved in this team? How can we all be part of this team in order to make it better? And Bowen is one of those players. He's going, I'm having a ball. I'm scoring goals. I'm back in form. The ball's coming to me more often than not. It's interesting. There's when I was on the, I got a lift to Luton from ones on Twitter, and she was talking. We were talking about the squad and stuff like that, and she was saying, "Have you noticed that since Rice has gone, everything sort of goes to other players? Because when Rice was there, it was all about getting the ball to Declan Rice, so he can be the pivot, and sort of everything starts from him. Now, what's happening is the ball is being spread out wide, the ball is going down the middle, Paquetá's picking it up and spreading out. Everyone. It seems to be the ball was going to more players in order to get us further up the field quicker. Whereas when Declan Rice was there, it kind of it looked like, and if you look back at a lot of our games, she has a point where everything had seemed to have to go through Declan Rice, and it kind of didn't work for us. It was sort of like it's not our strong point, and it's also quite interesting. It kind of reminds me of what Antonio was saying in one of his podcasts, that we tried a different method, it didn't work, and later on in the season, last season, we reverted back to type. And what was interesting is I kept on asking, well, what is it that's changed? What the players have been talking about a different system that didn't work. What was that different system? And then when Edgware Hammers said, the ball was always going through Declan Rice, primarily going through Declan Rice, it kind of clicked. You look at our play now. All right, we don't have an awful lot of possession when we play. But I guess it's what you do with the possession that counts more than how much possession you have. And the ball gets from one end of the pitch to another a lot quicker now. We get it out wide, we get it over the midfield to the attacking players, and more often than not at the moment we're scoring goals, and we're doing what we used to do when David Moyes took over. At the beginning of when he took over his first tenure, and then the return tenure at West Ham United, because we're not trying to play it through the middle when it's not always our strong point. I don't know if you agree or disagree with me on that. Steve, come on, Stel. You can always play with. I see where that's coming from now because I was a few minutes late. I got it. Adam, England were crap today. Just seemed that they didn't get out of second gear, and Southgate is a joke. Yeah, like I said, I fell asleep. I, kind of like can be asked. Good evening, Anthony. How are you? The cats, the poor cats. I feel sorry for them. They're suffering. They're all suffering, but they don't drink water. The silly little bastards. There's a bloody load of water there. They just want to eat, and then they don't drink anything. Good evening, Matt. I hope you're well, mates. Good evening to you, Daniela. How are you? I hope you're well. Good evening, Obsidian Curse. Good evening, mate. I hope you're well. Bloody Sunday morning by the time we get started. It will be by the time I'm finished. What was I drinking? I was drinking, or I still am drinking, that. Oh, mate, it's a beautiful bit of rum. Black spice rum. It's a fantastic brew. Absolutely lovely. I've run out. It means I've got to open. I'm in a dilemma because now I've got to open one of my expensive bottles of spice rum, and I'm not sure I just want to open it open them just for the sake of it. Steve, Stow had a haircut, bit of a skin. Well, you know what? In this weather, needs to be, mate. Needs to be. Who else we got here? Good evening, Black Country. I hope you're well. Good evening to you, Richard. How are you? I'm guessing Jake is in bed, isn't he? Yeah. Shame. I would have had him come on if he wasn't. Should let him stay up a bit later on a weekend. Jason, do we know is Shaka okay today? He carried on running. He was still playing when I switched off at half time. Matt, Southgate FC was crap today. Happy that England in the rugby did their job, even though we got City next weekend, but I'm buzzing for it. Hopefully a draw or imagine a 1-0 win. Need JWP fit. Well, this is the other thing. Let's hope that James Ward-Prowse, I did sort of tell you all last week that Ward-Prowse picked up an injury. Look, you don't go for a scan if the injury isn't kind of a little bit serious. Now, thankfully, the scan apparently didn't find anything too damaging, nothing broken, etc. But I would imagine, and I think it was confirmed, that he did have some swelling. They don't say where, though. They don't say whether the swelling was on the ankle or on the knee or anywhere else. But I've got a feeling you've got to guess, haven't you? So I would imagine it was probably swelling on the ankle. And hopefully it's not too serious, and hopefully he will be back. Now, he was. I also mentioned that he's going to be given a week off and then come back training next week. Fingers crossed. But interestingly, if he doesn't come back, then you see where Sojek fits in. He'll just go replace like for like. Ashley, good evening to you. Payback for Southgate for not picking Ward-Prowse and Bowen. It is odd. I won't lie to you. I used to get really excited when England play. All my life, sort of like waiting for an England game, a qualifier or whatever, or when we're in a tournament and so on. I'm just like, what I want England to do now is not only, we're going to qualify. There's no doubt about that. Okay, today was a blip. It was a point rather than the win, but that's okay. We're still top of that league, I believe, and we'll get through. We'll qualify, no problem. I'd like to see us do, all right, I know we got to a final and semi-finals in recent years. I want us to win something now. If we're good enough, if this squad is good enough, but this is the thing, I'm not so sure that the England squad is good enough to win something. That's not me saying this because Ward-Prowse, because we don't have a West Ham player in the squad. I don't mean it in that way. I'm just wondering if we are actually good in. Do we have world beaters? I think we've got certain players that are very, very good, top players, but have we got world beaters? I don't know. I don't know. Good evening to you, Toad of Toad Hall. How are you? Hope McTominay scores against England. Oh, yeah, they're playing. When is it? Tuesday, isn't it? Well, that'd be interesting, won't it? And then we'll all be asking, if he does score, we'll all be asking, why didn't we buy McTominay? I'd keep Sojek on the bench. You cannot drop Alvarez. I don't think he'll come in for Alvarez. I think he will come in for Benrahma. But tell me what you think. I think he will come in to replace Benrahma. Benrahma is the one that's likely to be on the bench if everybody is fit. Wayne, Benny is he is, and it's such a shame because I've always been an advocate for Benrahma. I've always sort of said, the player will come good. And he has moments, doesn't he? He has purple patches where he goes through certain periods of a season and you think this guy is just absolutely fantastic. And then it goes through other periods where you just think, mate, come on. And so far this season, I think apart from the Brighton game where he came on as a sub, and like I said earlier on, made the goal for Bowen, I think he's been really, really disappointing, and it is frustrating. Daniela, would love to come on, but my laptop at the computer doctors to get fixed. Listen on TV, typing on the phone. That's well done. Multitasking there. No problem. Thank you, Daniela. Isn't Jay WP injured? Well, yeah, he picked up a knock, and we've been told that apparently he should be okay. So fingers crossed he is. Steve, if Benrahma drops out for Souček, that's too defensive-minded for me. Yes, but I can see that happening. I can see, probably what we'll have is probably Antonio up front with Bowen, maybe just sort of behind him on the right, and then a middle four that will be try to keep Man City at bay. It's our biggest test, isn't it, so far? The games that we've had so far, I think Brighton was a really good game. I think, all right, the possession we had was negligible, but we won. And not only did we win, but we won kind of convincingly, even though our possession was only, 22%, something like that. Our big test is next Saturday, isn't it? This time next week, we'll know just how good West Ham United are in the league this season. If we can get something out of Man City, and I hate that because we're playing them at home, so we should get something out of Man City. We should go for the win. But as you've just said, we probably will be a little bit too defensive-minded, Steve. But I can see that happening against Man City. But if we can hit them on the break, the thing I'm worried about is we're just going to sit back and absorb. I think I don't want to say we got lucky against Brighton, because I think the goalie Areola had an absolutely superb game. They had an awful lot of shots, and Areola was on point against them, so kept them at bay. I'm not so sure we'll be lucky if we give Man City as many opportunities as we did Brighton. I'm not so sure we'll be quite so lucky. So it's going to be a massive test for us to see exactly where we're at. Mark, good evening to you. I hope you're well. Jeff, Benny is better as a super sub. I think, you might see throughout the season that happening more often. Lee, liking the late night format still. Good evening to you, and good evening to you as well. Thank you, Lee. Much appreciated. For those of you who've been on my channel for quite some time, I do a Friday night late night, but I've not done one for absolute ages. So I've got to cut. Look, I'm going to make a promise. I will start doing them. There won't be every Friday, but I will start doing them a bit more regularly. Maybe once every 2, once every 3 weeks, something like that. And if there's any reason why I can't do a Friday one, as the summer goes and the winter draws in, when people spend more time at home, straight after Strictly on a Saturday night and straight after Match of the Day. Yeah, I said it. You heard it. Straight after Strictly on a Saturday night, and then straight after Match of the Day. If I haven't done a Friday night live, I'll do a Saturday one. So I promise to do that. And if anyone wants to come on those shows, all you have to do is just message me and ask for a link. Let's scroll down. Black Country. Still got on the old JD, son. It's a lovely. I don't like whiskey. I don't like Jack Daniels or anything like. Rum is much nicer, mate. Much sweeter. Especially the spice rum. I can't drink whiskey. Or bourbon, or whatever the JD is called. Matt, head-to-head against City. Do I want to read this out? Head-to-head against City. Played 44, won 9, drawn 8, lost 27, lost 3, and drawn 1 in our last 4 against them. Cheers, mate. Well, hang on. We won 1. We beat them in the cup. Only at home. How long ago was that? A couple of years ago? Or are you on? Is this only about the league? It's about the league. Fair enough. Usual banana Benrahma really. Good evening to you, Alan. I hope you're well. Oops, put that back on. Good evening, Alan. I think Moyes will play Souček, Ward-Prowse and Alvarez in the middle, and play Paquetá on the left wing. It is a bit of a waste. I hope it doesn't piss Paquetá off too much, because ironically, players have certain preferences. And Paquetá, his preference is to play on the right side of deep lying midfield. Doesn't quite like playing on the left. And the new player that we bought, everyone's talking about, play Kudus on the left side and drop Benrahma. Kudus doesn't play on the left side, even though he's left-footed. He's very much he's very much a Bowen type of player, where he prefers to play out on the right side or play centrally. So I agree. I don't know. Do you think Paquetá does well on the left, Alan? I'm guessing you're saying you think he does. Daniela, we're going to have 5 games in 15 days, so there's going to have to be some rotation. I hope there will be, and people are asking, what's going to happen with Mavropanos? Someone wrote the other day, like, you only talk about 3 players that we've signed. We've actually signed 4 because there is Mavropanos as well. He'll start playing more games. I guarantee it. There's every chance, for example, we might go 5 at the back against Man City. And you might see Mavropanos lining up alongside Zuma and the other one, Agerd. Steve, I just fear Moyes won't play Kudus much and won't be here for long term. I think he will. I think he will. It take him a bit longer, and it's a shame because we saw what he did. I'm sure you've all seen the clip of him scoring the free kick against the free kick for Ghana the other day in their game, their international game. Really well taken goal just outside the box. Beautiful free kick. I think he will get game time. But what I do fear is that he will be brought on more as a sub before he starts playing regularly. I think Kudus also will play an awful lot of European games as well and cup games, but I would like to see him in the Premier League as well. Jeff, really want Kudus to play from the start. Totally agree. I do. But, I still say it. I still maintain this. I think Kudus is in as an alternative to Antonio. I really do. It's either going to be that or it's going to be Bowen pushed up front and then Kudus playing where Bowen currently plays. Steve, 101 people. Oh, yes. Right. If you're new to the channel, please hit the like button. Please hit that subscribe button. And please hit the bell notification to let you know that will tell you when I'm next on. So please, it'd be great if you enjoy the content, etc. I would love you to hit all those 3 buttons, especially the subscribe button. Good evening, Graham. How are you, mates? We have nothing to lose, so let's take the game to City for a change. It would be nice, but we don't want to expose ourselves too much, do we? We don't want to get absolutely thumped at home. And Moyes is risk averse. So, yes, I agree. We've got nothing to lose, but at the same time, I can't see Moyes going gung-ho. Jeff, if Jesse gets a chance, he's a lucky boy. Absolutely agree. We are unbeaten. I mean, imagine saying that. We are unbeaten. Cheers to that. I mean, that is incredible, isn't it? Look at the start we had last season where we couldn't buy a win. And now, I mean, really, we should be 4 out of 4 wins because I think we took our foot off the gas against Bournemouth in the very first game. If we'd have gone for it, if we had not sat back, we would have been 4 games, 4 wins. Graham, you can spend £38 million on Kudus, then just play him in the cup games. He has to be in the first 11. You can't spend 30 million. He has to be in the first 11. Moyes has to make space for him. Try him on the left side instead of Said. Well, you've just heard what I've said, mate. It's not his natural game, unfortunately. He doesn't play in that position. So it'll be interesting. I think Kudus will get starts. It may take a little bit of time, but it'll be interesting to see where he will play when he finally does start. Wayne, any word on whether Lingard played in? Yes, he did. He played in the game on Thursday. It was 1-1 draw. He played something like 70 odd minutes and then he was taken off. But apparently he was still very much not fit match wise. And apparently the jury's out as to whether he's going to get a contract or not. Steve, anyone been watching Robert Banks' Macari episodes? No, Robert Banks, he's a bit like our Nigel, isn't he? Where he's a West Ham historian. But I've heard that the stuff he does is pretty good. Graham, we don't need Lingard. Well, if we don't... I think we've got a decent squad. I think, when we talk about the transfer window, people talk about, how do you feel the transfer window went? And I think the transfer window went really, really well. I think the one thing that we kind of lacked was maybe getting a left back and getting a striker. And you can live with the left back because Cresswell has stayed. You can still play Ben Johnson in that position as well. But getting another striker, I know a lot of people would have preferred, to get another striker, a 15 goal a season striker. But I think as we've seen at the beginning of this season, I think what we're going to get is very much of what we had a few seasons ago, where I think the goals are going to come from all areas of the pitch rather than just the striker. So I think it might have been Steve that mentioned to me the other day in a private chat, we need a 15-goal striker. And I said to him, well, I don't know if we do, because if we've got Bowen still scoring, if we got the likes of the other midfielders start adding goals as well, now that we've got Ward-Prowse who can supply really decent balls for the defenders to get up. I mean, we've had a Gerd has scored from a corner, and we've had Zoom has scored as well. I can see an awful lot more of those coming because we've got the likes of Ward-Prowse supplying the ball now. I don't know. Yes, it would be great to have a striker, but I don't think it's that essential at the moment if the rest of the team are contributing towards the goals. Usual. Lingard out of form. If he was in Russia, he'd be at the hotel window. Good evening, Keith. I hope you're well, mate. Those Robert Banks videos are awesome. Yeah, they are. I've watched a couple quite some time ago, but I've not seen them recently. Michael, good evening to you. Lingard played 75 minutes before he got pulled. Please, Moyes, can I have some more before he got pulled? Yes, he is. Well, I don't know if he's impressed enough, so it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. Excuse me. Huge. Good evening to you. We have such a good team spirit at the moment. They're all playing as a team. Lingard only cares about himself and the money. It would only take one rotten apple, and he can't play in the group games in the Europa. No, he can't. He's not being registered for those. So that's a really good point. I wonder if he's not going to be offered a contract at all. Daniela, what do people make of the Joe Cole Declan Rice interview before the game? Interesting, because I watched that, and it was. Cole said to him about when he moved to Chelsea, how he found it a different level, Joe Cole. And I thought Declan Rice was going to say, Cole asked him something like, what do you think the difference is, etc., going to Arsenal? And I thought Declan was going to say much the same. Oh, yeah, different level, etc. He bit his tongue and he went, it's different, because the manager there Arteta wants me to play more forward sort of role. So he was quite careful not to turn around and say, oh, yeah, I've seen it's at the different level to West Ham, etc. He was very careful about not saying that. But apart from that, it's interesting. He still praises West Ham United. He still talks about keeping in touch with the players, sort of message David Moyes, etc. All right, he's gone. And we wish him well, or some people wish him well. But it was a big part of his life. And I think he realizes what West Ham United gave him. It gave him a massive opportunity. And he even said that, his father said to him, this is a big opportunity. You've got to take it, and he did. And he did well. But I won't lie to you, people. I don't mean it in a facetious way. I don't mean it in a bad way, but we're not missing him. And someone said about you just said good team spirit, etc. We seem to have a very, very good team spirit at the moment. Schmiegel, good evening to you. I hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Richard, Kudus has to start. He scored for Ghana. So if Kudus does start, and bearing in mind what I've said to you, that he doesn't play out on the left-hand side, if Kudus does start, and also Souček is going to probably come in and replace Benrahma, who else would you drop? Think about the midfield that we've got. Alvarez, he's got to start. Paquetá, he's got to start. If fit, James Ward-Prowse, he's got to start. We know Souček will be picked. Absolutely. We know Bowen will be picked. There's 5. So does Kudus come in place of Antonio? Now, Antonio has impressed me. I've been a critic of his for quite a couple of seasons now, but you've got to be honest. He's turned it round for me. Even he seems to be a freer kind of player at the moment. Seems to be enjoying his football far more. So would you drop Antonio for Kudus? Because I doubt very much Moyes will do that. So who would you drop? It's an interesting dilemma to have. It's a good dilemma to have. It means we've got good strength in depth. Now, we've got players that can just walk into that team and should be able to deliver at the same level. We've still got Fornals as well, who I still rate. We've got a number of players that can come in, step in, and do a really good job. So if you're going to have Alvarez, if you're going to have Paquetá, James Ward-Prowse, Jared Bowen, Antonio, and Souček, who will be picked, out of those players, who are you gonna drop for Kudus? It's an interesting one because I really do think, to be honest with you, that Kudus will play up front. Now, obviously, I don't think he'll start up front, but I think he'll come on as an alternative for Antonio, say 70 minutes into a game, something like that, and come on and play that front line. Or, as I've said also, come on, Bowen pushes up front if Antonio's not doing it, and Kudus plays out on the right-hand side. Adam, did Rice say anything bad about West Ham when talking to Joe Cole? Didn't see it. No, he absolutely didn't. Like I said, when Joe Cole sort of said, "Oh yeah, when I went to Chelsea, it was almost like a step up," and in terms of sort of the setup, the training, and all that sort of stuff. Bowen didn't follow suit. He said it's different. He said something like it's different. He certainly didn't say it was better at Arsenal. He definitely didn't say that. I think he's being careful. I think he's had his fingers burnt at West Ham United. Well, not West Ham United. He's had his fingers burnt in media by saying things that kind of like sounded like pretty much damning to West Ham. Under Arteta, I don't know what he said. I'll go to a different level or whatever. Things like that. I think he kind of regrets saying, because I really actually don't think he wants to put West Ham down in any way. I think he does owe him a big debt of gratitude. Mark, he's kipping on Moyes' sofa. Wouldn't be surprised. Paul, Lingard will help buff up the squad during the AFCON. That's a good point. Yeah, that's a really, really good point. We're going to lose a number of players. We're going to lose a Gerd. We're going to lose Ben Rama. We're going to lose Kudus. Who else? One or two others, etc. So if Lingard does sign, you're absolutely spot on there. He will certainly fill a bit of a gap when those players go to the AFCON. Alan, sorry, to Michael Breeze. I wonder if Lingard was upset when Moyes pulled him off, or was he used to it? Well, no, I don't know. I don't think he probably was. I think he probably would have been happy. If he was blown out of his arse, he probably would have thanked him rather than be upset. Michael, why have West Ham United not said that they renewed Souček's contract for 4 more years? I don't know, because that was done some time ago. It was done, I think, about 2 or 3 weeks ago. So I don't know why it hasn't been officially announced, but he's received a 4-year contract. I thought that was kind of common news, because I saw an article when I sort of look for content. I look at all the different West Ham sort of social media pages, and I think it was one of the West Ham pages, Hammer Zone or whatever it's called. One of them said that West Ham have got a massive dilemma at the end of next summer, because something like 11 players are out of contract, and I was like, no, they're not. What 11, and I was looking at the list, and I, well, no, he's signed an extended contract. He's signed just a 1-year extension. He's done this. And I think, I think I whittled it down from 11 to something like maybe about 4 or 5. Yeah, that means we still need to find a solution to those 4 or 5. But I was a bit puzzled. There certainly isn't up to 11, and I will look at it again. I will look at it again next week, and maybe do a quick show on it, just to sort of confirm, now that the transfer window is shut, what do we need to focus on in January, and what will we have to focus on again next summer? Because there are players that will be leaving, but also we've got to be thinking about who might be coming up through the ranks, and whether any of those players, like Mbama, I keep saying Mubama, for example, will be stepping up. So maybe 1 or 2 young players may take the mantle. Hammers Mikey, Moyes' human centipede is complete. Cresswell, Souček, and Lingard. Moyes' human centipede is complete. Cresswell, Souček, and Lingard. Cresswell, I think we wanted to let him go. I think there was problems with Wolves not being able to afford to buy him. But mind you, then they ended up selling Nunes to Man City. Did that go through? It would have given them money. So I'm surprised they didn't come in for Cresswell at the last minute. And I think Cresswell will probably go in January. I kind of said that before. Good evening, Audi. What's all this nasty taste of revenge? What nasty taste of revenge? Explain. Black Country. Quick question: does Stell look like a Joe 90 from the 1970s? I don't know. Do I now? I can't see. Everything's a blur. Everything's a blur. There you go. James, I'd sign J-Lings, but this time there's no TikToking in it. Hammers, Mikey. Chilwell is awful as well, and Henderson. Yeah, Henderson. Really? You know, you've just gone to play in a league that is nothing like the Premier League, nothing like most European leagues. All right, yes, I know they bought some very high-profile players over in the Saudi league, but Henderson, I don't know. Isn't it time for him to go? Leave West Ham, leave England. Well, he's left England. Leave the English squad. Steve, Black Country, he does, mate. Usual. Maguire and Henderson. England look tired and stale, awful to watch. This is why, as a manager, certainly as an international manager, you've got a choice, haven't you? You can freshen it. It's not like you know, sort of domestic teams where you've got an opportunity to freshen up in the January window and in the summer window. Otherwise, everything else in between, you've got to make do with what you've got. You know, every time England are lined up for some international games, it's down to Southgate to decide whether he wants to freshen it up or not. And he didn't, which is really, really disappointing. Jeff, glad they weren't picked. They will try harder for us now and not get injured. Southgate is a plonker. It's a shame, Southgate. I kind of like Southgate. I've always had a bit of an admiration for him, especially in Euro 92 when he missed the penalty. Felt really sorry for him. Was it Euro 92? Christ, going back some, aren't I? When he missed that penalty anyway, when we should have won that competition. Anyway, I kind of felt I've always had a bit of an admiration for him, but that's fallen away for me now in the past sort of few England games because he has gone, you know, sort of like, you know, picks the same players, doesn't give other players an opportunity, and it's a real shame. Excuse me, I've got to get a drink. I'm as thirsty as hell. I won't be a minute. No more alcohol. I'll do that. I'll do that when I'm offline. So yeah, I'm not glad they weren't picked. I always want to see West Ham United players being given credit for their merits, you know, and be selected for their national teams. I think it's the pinnacle for any player, West Ham or any club that you play for. That's what you strive for, isn't it? You not only strive for glory at your domestic club, but you also strive for glory, you know, being picked for your international team. And I feel more sorry for Ward-Prowse and Bowen than anything. So I want them to be picked. Of course, there's that dreaded curse we always have whenever a player gets picked for international duty. One of them will invariably gets injured. Dean Ashton is a prime example. But I think it shows it shows you know, that the manager of that national team is looking at what's going on. This time round, excuse me, Southgate didn't know what was going on. Otherwise, he would have picked at least one, if not both of them. Daniela, England do have some injuries at centre-back, and Maddison was poor. So centre-back and then Maguire. You know, all right. Who was it that played alongside him? I can't remember the young lad's name today. He looked shaky. He didn't look great, did he? But I actually blame Declan Rice for their goal because he wasn't tracking the runner. He wasn't tracking Zinchenko. Hammers Mikey, Scotland are going to hammer England on Tuesday and they will deserve it. Be an interesting game. Audi. Maddison has been very good club-wise, but Southgate don't play like Spurs. Well, no, they don't. But I think he looked poor in today's game, the first half that I saw, to be quite honest with you. Paul, England team are a bunch of entitled prima donnas. They were once upon a time. I'm not so sure. We've got to be careful, though. They can't rest on their laurels. And I think Southgate's got to be careful there, hasn't he? If Southgate keeps picking players not on merit just because he's picking the same players, then they will become entitled prima donnas. They're going to think it doesn't matter what I do, it doesn't matter how I play, it doesn't matter if I'm sitting on the bench for my domestic team, I know I'm going to get picked. And that's when they become entitled prima donnas. So, Southgate needs to do himself a favour as well. When he picks the next squad for the next England game after Scotland, and maybe freshen it up a little bit and actually pick players on merit to take away that entitlement. Michael, Southgate FC, I've got no time for it. And when we get a proper England, I'll watch, not this old boy's crap he picks. It's a shame. It's a shame. He's doing himself absolutely no favours at all. Martin, I think Southgate knew his team weeks ago. Current form has got nothing to do with it, which, well, as they end up becoming entitled prima donnas. Absolutely. Egg chasers, rugby, explain, because I don't understand it. Keith, sodomy. Who said sodomy? No, not me. Howdy. Has Bowen not already been offered a new contract still? Yes, he has. It's been negotiated. So it's not been agreed, but it's been negotiated. Can't tell you what it is. I've got no clue, but we absolutely don't want to let him go. Ryan, Bowen not going to Liverpool. Danny Dyer would ensure you found. He would. He would. Steve, can you marry? Right, boy. You just make sure you don't pass that medical. That weren't a Danny Dyer, was it? Steve, Black Country, without the Spextel, could be the evil Captain Black from Captain Scarlet. There you go. I really, it looks hazy, so I've got to put them back on. Look, if I knew you were going to take the piss out of me, I wouldn't have put a show on tonight. I'm doing it for you, you bastards. Usual. If that prisoner would have hid in the Tottenham Trophy, they would never have. Is that the guy that they found him today, didn't it? Was it today they found him? Did you see that story about that poor bloke? Was it at an airport? I can't remember where it was. The poor bloke, and you saw a picture of this guy who looked exactly like the escaped prisoner, and the poor fucker wasn't the guy. And they arrested him and all that, and like, ain't me. It was on Twitter or something. He looked just like the bloke, and it was like, it ain't him, weren't me. Can you imagine being nicked? John, he's sober. Of course I'm so. I was pissed last night. I should have put on a show last night, to be honest with you. I'm not reading that one out, Steve. Montana, any injury? No injury rumors today, mate. The only one that we had was about James Ward-Prowse picking up a knock. He's been given a bit of time off. They're swelling there. Fingers crossed. When West Ham have said it's nothing serious, he'll be back in training next week. Let's hope they're not bullshitting, because it's going to be very interesting. It's also going to be very interesting to see, because everyone said, when I put the report out on Tuesday or Wednesday night, when I was told that Ward-Prowse had picked up an injury, of course, the following morning, West Ham put out a training video, which happened on the day of his injury, on the Tuesday or on the Wednesday or whatever. And of course, who do you see walking out, going for training? Ward-Prowse. And everyone was like, what are you talking about? It's a load of bollocks. He was training. Well, that video was taken on the day that I reported it on. And then if you looked at that video later on, when they were doing the drills, the little five-a-side games, etc., no sign of Ward-Prowse. Anyway, that's the long way around of saying no other injury rumours at this moment in time. I don't know what you're talking about, Steve. I'll ignore that one. Lee, totally agree on the improvement after number 41 left the chat. He who should not be named. He stifled play sometimes. We are more dynamic now. I can't lie. I agree. I actually do agree, Lee. I don't mean that in a disrespectful way to Declan Rice. He was great for us. He does love the club. He played with his heart on his sleeve and all that sort of stuff. But we do look a different team without him. Players have taken up the mantle. You're seeing more of Bowen. You're seeing, and I won't lie, I think Alvarez is an absolute godsend to the squad, without a shadow of a doubt. I've said it so many times before. I think we're a very, very different team when we've got a defensive midfielder who wants to play defensive midfield. And Declan didn't want to do that anymore. He wanted to be that box-to-box player, a more attacking player. Fair play. He wants to develop. That's where he thinks he's going to be better at. I'm not so sure he's going to succeed, to be quite honest with you. And I'm not saying that in a malicious way or, sort of snidey way or anything. I actually don't think it's going to suit him. I think when Declan Rice there's nothing wrong with being a defensive midfielder. And I think Declan Rice should have just gone, that's my position. That's what I've been playing. I started off as a kid as a centre-back and then moved from a centre-back to defensive midfield. I've made that position mine, which is why I'm being picked for England. Why should I want to change? I get it. But you can still be that pivot. You can still be very, very involved in the game as that pivot in front of the back four. Declan wants to be something different, and he's got an agreement with Arsenal that he's going to play a different position. He's going to play more kind of attack-minded. I'm not so sure it's going to work for him, to be honest with you. The danger with Declan Rice is possibly becoming just another midfielder. I think he made that he made his name as a defensive midfielder. And I don't think he should change that. And I think we have become more dynamic. And the reason why we've become more dynamic is because we've got Alvarez in there who just wants to play in front of the back four. That's what he does. He loves it. What was it that Emerson called him? Called him a machine. He called him a beast or whatever it was. He loves tackling. He loves getting in the fray. He loves breaking up play. That's what we've been missing that for a couple of seasons. And I think it's going to be really good having Alvarez, and we are more dynamic with players like that in the squad. Mr. Doofus, good evening to you. Hope you're well, mate. Thank you for joining. Black Spice around. It's only a product placement if one of you bastards buys me a bowl. Poor bastard cats. Who's the daddy? I don't know. They're all fucking adopted. They're all adopted. I won't tell you where they come from because I'm going into another sort. I'll tell you it anyway. I'm here. Why not? We live in a flat. I'm on the 4th floor. And when we went to rescue homes, we said we want to adopt cats, and they went, yeah, great, yeah, absolutely. They came round to inspect the property and all that, and they went, oh, sorry, you can't have any. Why not? You're on the 4th floor, and they'll become house cats. Yeah, no. Cats need space. Cats need outdoor space. Oh, fuck off. Yeah, cats need outdoor space. We had to adopt 2 from Romania, and the missus last year when we were in Cyprus picked one up from the fucking beach. So there you go, the lucky bastards. They are bastards. I don't know who the daddy is. I'm glad I'm not drinking any more rum. Jeff, what's different from normal? Mate, this one is the dog's bollocks. I'm telling you now, it is. Normal spice rum is nice. This one's got a deeper, like a sort of a. It's sweeter. It's sweeter, mate. Trust me. You buy a bottle of this. If you like rum, you buy a bottle of this. You will never look back. It is the dog's bollocks. It's a really good. Fuck me, I've got a little bit left in there. Might as well put it in the Coke. Waste not, want not. Honestly, mate, it's very different. It's got a deeper taste, it's sweeter. It's a sweeter taste. It is just superb. Anyway, this isn't a rum video. Hammers Mikey, as long as it's not dead man's finger, all for that. You know what? I've tried it. Like a pirate seaweed. This is better. It is better. Dead man's fingers are all right, but this is much better. Montana, the international break should be squeezed together. I agree. Absolutely. Who was it? Arsene Wenger that said that, didn't he? That we should just be playing. It's a fucking pisser. We've had 4 games. This is typical for West Ham, isn't it? 4 games. We're on a run. International break. And the first game back against Man City. And we'll get thumped. And it'll be like, because, we're still sort of getting our shit together after the international breaks. You're absolutely right. I think I think they should all be squeezed together. Just do them in 2 block periods, get them out of the bloody way. And we know that January and October or whatever months they choose are going to be international months. Get them out of the way so we can actually enjoy our football without interference. We've got another one coming up in a couple of weeks' time. It's absolutely ridiculous. Gavin, JWP is a master sign. Absolutely. But how many people didn't want him? That's a really good point, Gavin. He is a master signing. How many people did not want him? JWP, 28 years old. He's too old for West Ham United. What's Moyes doing, etc., etc. Absolute masterstroke, I have to admit. Wayne, not hearing anything lately about the Arab purchase of the rubbish United and turning their attention to us. Any word? Well, funny you should mention that, Wayne, because I think it's an awful lot of garbage, to be honest with you. Look, you put two and two together and it doesn't come up to four. Look, I asked several times, are the Qataris interested in West Ham United? And I've been told time and time again, absolutely no interest. There never has been. We don't think it's going to happen, etc. But never say never. Never say never. Now, how did this rumor come about? We know that for quite a number of years, the Qataris have been buying up land, they've been buying property, should I say, around the stadium, etc. Now, I was told the other week, because there was when I talked about it in my Monday show, people were saying, "Oh, well, they bought all the land around the stadium," and I asked, and I was told, "No, they have not. They have bought real estate on land that's leased." So the real estate is leased, so they bought an awful lot of buildings around the stadium, but they haven't bought a lot of land. Now, they are investing their money. Think about it. Oil is running out, or not all running out, but oil is pushing to have electric cars, hybrid cars, and all that. So there's always going to be a market for oil, because it's not just cars that use them, but the market is going to sort of, especially for cars, especially if all countries go electric and so on. I don't know if that's even possible, but if they do, then there's a big chunk of the market that all companies are going to lose out on. So they're investing elsewhere. Real estate is one of those investments. And absolutely, the Qataris have been investing in real estate, not just in England, but around the world. So they're buying an awful lot of real estate to have a big amount of income. But that doesn't necessarily mean that they've been buying land. People keep saying they want to buy the stadium, and people have been saying that Kretinsky wants to buy the stadium, etc. It's not going to happen. LLDC, who currently run the stadium they report to the mayor. LLDC was meant to sort of cease in 2025. That's not going to happen either. Now they're going to continue in a different form, but part of their continuation, one of those continuations, is going to be they're going to continue to run the stadium. No one seems to want to buy the stadium because it doesn't make money. People want to take it over, and people want to run it, not necessarily buy it. West Ham United want to run it because they think they can make money out of it, but they don't want to buy it outright. But I don't know how it works out. Apparently, if you buy it, then you're responsible for. Of course, you would be responsible for all the overheads, etc., etc. Whereas if you take over the operating of it, then LLDC and the mayor will still have to contribute towards the running of the stadium. So there's a bit of a nuance, a bit of a difference. So when it comes to the Qataris, there's all this talk about the Qataris are buying up land around, the Olympic Park and all that sort of stuff. Apparently not. They're buying real estate on that land. They're not necessarily right. Okay, you could argue they're taking out these leases, which are 900 odd year leases, etc. So they're as good as damn it. They own these properties, but they're not owning them outright. So when it comes to West Ham, I don't think. Look, is it a viable proposition? Yeah, West Ham should be. A club that's got 60 odd thousand capacity. It's done really well in the last few years. It could be a club that the Qatari ownership could sort of take it to the next level. It could happen, but I'm not so sure, to be honest with you, that if the Qataris are pulled out of Man United, they will be looking at West Ham. I don't know how that link has come about. Maybe wishful thinking more than anything else. Now, we won't like it, but a more lucrative proposition is a team like Spurs. They own their stadium. We don't own our stadium. And yes, you could argue, well, the Qataris could buy the stadium, buy West Ham United, etc., and make that more lucrative. Yes, they could. But if you look at it in the grand scheme of things, at this moment in time, if they wanted an investment, maybe paying £2 billion for a team like Spurs, that's probably a more likely proposition than buying West Ham United for 800 million and then having to negotiate the purchase of the stadium, etc., on top of that. So I don't know. I think it's more wishful thinking. I like to be proven wrong, but I don't think the Qataris are coming in for West Ham United, to be honest with you. I think there'll be other teams that they'll have more of an eye on than West Ham. I could be wrong. Now there's also a big dilemma is, do we want the Qataris to take over? There's all this stuff about, the human rights, etc., etc. Do we want a regime like the Qataris to take over West Ham? Have we not already got a damaged reputation as it is? And then people will argue, well, look at what we're owned by who we're owned by at the moment, owned by a person who made his money in the porn industry, so, is that calling the pot? Is that calling the pot black? Is the kettle calling the pot black? I don't know. I think the Qatar. This is sports washing of money. The Qataris, the Saudis, etc. They're using sport in order to, make it look clean, whiter than white. And I'm not so sure. Do West Ham want to be involved in that? Is something going to come of it in the future? I don't know. The Saudis are an interesting proposition. The Qataris, the Saudis, etc. They are going to push for more and more and more Premier League clubs. There's going to come a time. I think there was a fear, wasn't there, a couple of years ago, that the Americans were going to take too many Americans were going to sort of spoil the broth in Premier League football. Too many American owners would have pushed for this Super League to happen, etc. They could see where the money was, and they wanted that to happen. What will happen with the Saudis and that part of the world if they took over West Ham and another club and another club and another club? They're going to want to then push for being involved in the Champions League and so on and so forth. And where does it stop? I don't know. Is it a good thing? Is it a bad thing? I'm not so sure. Do the Qataris want West Ham United? I've not seen any evidence to suggest that they do. Sorry, really long answer, and I think I've rambled as well. Anthony, I don't want Bowen and JWP called up for England. Remember what happened to Dean Ashton? Got tackled in training, and that ended his career. That could happen to anyone, though, to be quite honest with you, for any team. Black Country. Right, I've got to go. I'm on holiday. Keep her indoors happy. Moan. If not, thank you for joining Black Country, and I hope you have a really good holiday, and see you soon, mate. James, yo, open a bottle of that expensive rum. No, and no. Steve, hate the international breaks and ridiculous. It's after only 4 games. In the old days, England played on Wednesdays and the league games still went ahead on Saturdays. Yes, they did. But now we've got half the teams in the Premier League playing European football. So we can't have that either, can we? It's, it doesn't, mind you, it could happen, couldn't it? If you don't have, mind you, Champions League is on every other week, isn't it? Wayne, hear what you're saying, Richard, about everyone doing business with them. Why shouldn't we benefit? What did Richard say? I take it you're talking about the Qataris. Here we go. Richard, if a bid from Qatar comes, I know it's tempting, but human rights abuses, immigrant deaths, buildings, World Cup stadiums, etc., passports taken allegedly, so couldn't travel home. It's a no from me. This is a massive dilemma. It's a really, really big dilemma. Is it better the devil you know? I don't know where it will go. Is it sports washing? Is it, it's almost like laundering money through legitimate football teams, to make them look whiter than white. Not laundering, but with all the things like Richard has just said, human rights, etc. We can't ignore that, can we? Or can we? Should we? Dare we? Martin, maybe England have peaked and have missed the chance of winning a tournament. Let's see what happens in the next big tournament that comes up. Good evening to you, El Crago. Souček, man of the match for Czechia again yesterday. I didn't watch it. I don't know what went on. I do need to do a bit of my research for the Monday show. But I've heard, he is a different kind of player, isn't he? Captain of the team, etc., etc. Gavin, I reckon the Hammers are class and will give City a stern test. I really hope so. I really do. I hope we don't just sit back and try to absorb the pressure for 90 minutes, because I don't think we'll cope. So I hope we are a big test for them. It'd be a testament. Actually, you know what I'm going to go on to from that comment? It'd be a testament to see how far this man has got on. Now, does David Moyes deserve more credit than he's getting? We've seen the social media barrage of abuse that's come Moyes' way. Even I teetered last season, where I kept saying at the beginning of the season, hold out, hold out, hold out. It'll get better. It'll get better. And then when it came into the new calendar year, and we after the January window, etc., things didn't improve, and it took a while, didn't it? It took quite a while. Even though I started going, maybe it's time for him to go. Who would have thought that the end of last season ended the way it did? We improved immensely in the Premier League. We absolutely smashed the Europa Conference. I don't give a damn who we played. We still won it. And we've started this season absolutely superbly. Does David Moyes deserve more credit than he gets? You know, has he now turned that corner where, and I know it's early days, and I know it's only 4 games in, and like I said earlier in the show, a massive test is going to come from the Man City game next Saturday. But does this man deserve more credit than he gets? He's been getting a hell of a lot of abuse on social media more than anything else. What's been interesting, at away games this season, people have been singing, "We've got Super David Moyes." I never thought I would hear West Ham fans singing that song again. When I heard it the first time. Who was that against? Who we played? We played Bournemouth. We played Brighton. Who else we played away? Can't remember. But I think it might have been Brighton, or maybe even a game before, and then we played Luton as well. I think it might have been Brighton where the fans started singing, "We've got Super David Moyes." And I was like, wow. I never thought I'd hear our fans singing that again. So much abuse. And this is another question. This is a legitimate question that I'd like you guys to answer if you can. Because I don't know if I've got the answer for this or not. Is it different for? I'm not going to say for fans who go to games, because a lot of fans that are on social media also go to games as well. But is social media, what am I going to try and say? Fans that go to games, is it different from the fans on social media? Is that platform different? Do you feel that? Are you kind of those who are unable to go to games, and a lot of people that can't, for one reason or another, very valid reasons? Do you see the game very differently to fans who are actually at the game? Because sometimes I go to a game and I stand there and I go, "Fuck me, that's boring," or "Fuck me, that was really, really entertaining," or whatever. And then you look at social media comments and you think, what game are they watching? Because that's not the experience I've just had. Is David Moyes getting more criticism? I guess this is the question I'm asking. Is David Moyes getting more criticism from social media fans or people on social media than he does at people who are actually at the games? You tell me. Kanjo, totally off topic, but we need to have a good atmosphere this season. It's definitely possible in our bowl. Absolutely. I'm sure we've all been to. Those who have been lucky enough to be able to go to games at the London Stadium. We've heard the atmosphere. The atmosphere against Chelsea was superb. The atmosphere in some of the European competitions we played in, Lyon and Seville a couple of seasons ago, was absolutely electric. Of course we can. I agree with you, mate. Adam, if JWP isn't fit, should Alvarez, Paquetá, and Kudus in the middle with Benny on the wing and Souček can pass on? Good shout. Interesting. Good shout. Stu, if Sheffield United can make City panic with 10 men with 10 minutes to go, I'm sure we could do something decent. Yeah, good shout as well. Michael, the charity YouTubers sold out London Stadium today. Yeah, what was that? I didn't even know there was a game on. I read it earlier today. There was some charity match apparently, and it was absolutely sold out. How does Mikey? If we stop Vigo, then we could sneak a draw against City. Yeah. Montana, Brentford would take Benny back for 20 million. We should pitch it to them. They took more payback. And then he'll smash it, won't he? So, hell, good evening to you. Mr. Doofus to 56, saying something to him. Ben Rama is an international player. What about your favourite? Now, let's not get into an argument. Everyone's got a different thought process on the players. Usual. Grey Goose vodka is a nuts. Don't like vodka. Paul, hey, Stel, can I have a link to Captain Morgan's? I'll find the link. Apparently, it was quite difficult to get in this country because I always used to get it from duty free. But if I find the link, Paul, email me, mate. Email me at West Ham. Email me at westhamvoice.co.uk. No, it's not. westhamvoice at gmail.com. And I'll send you a link if I can find one. How about that? Dan, Paquetá has looked great on the left wing with Emerson overlapping. They play well together. Then they're good friends. So, yeah, it's a good shout. It's a good shout. Yeah. I'm not saying he can't do it. I guess maybe his preference is to play in the middle. But, yeah, fair play. Good shout. Mr. Doofus, Sahel, bet you are his countryman. Anthony, Paquetá needs to play as a number 10. Well, ironically, that isn't his favourite position because that's where he was played at when he played for AC Milan. And then when he went to Lyon, he played a little bit deeper on the right side of a midfield three. John, Stell, you lied to me. Where was this Barry Silton player then? Don't listen to everything you read or hear, even from me. Usual. I watched Bromley versus Maidenhead this afternoon on BT Sport. Alan Devonshire is the Maidenhead manager. How did they do? I hope they won. I hope they did well. Jason, can't imagine Kudish being a second choice because of the price. I asked a question earlier. Who would you drop to start Kudish? Thank you, James. Much appreciated. John, did the stream go down on Channel 4? It did momentarily. Best part of the game. Mr. Doofus. Yeah, Kudish for Benrahma. I don't know. Don't forget, City have got Champions League after us. Yeah. And also, let's not forget, they've got a squad, a bench that's worth multi-millions of pounds. So it's not going to worry them. Richard, if Kudish doesn't start, he'll be wanting out by Christmas. No, I don't think so. I think he'll understand that it's going to probably take a little bit of time. And isn't that what we want? Don't we want a squad that's competing to be starters? You know, this is the thing with West Ham United, isn't it? Whenever we talk about trying to improve the squad, the next problem that we have is having to the next problem that we have is trying to sort of like accommodate all the players just in case anyone gets upset because they don't get to play. I mean, other teams like Man City have got excellent players who sit on the bench and they know that they're going to get game time because of all the games they're going to play in all the cup competitions. We've had that for the last 3 seasons as well. So I don't think he'll want to be out by Christmas, but he's got to, it's going to be difficult to fit all the players in, to be honest with you. Jeff, Kudish and Bowen should swap sides and mess people about. I know they're both lefties and cutting from the right, but both have played on the left. I really do think, we might see this in the European games and in the cup games. I really do think Kudish will start up top. Might be wrong. Trudge. Paquetá might want out by Christmas, though, so a place becomes free. He's been professional, hasn't he? He's been absolutely professional. He could have thrown his toys out the pram when Man City came in for him. I think by Christmas, the whole issue of betting scandal, etc., will be done and dusted. So let's see what happens then. I hope we're doing well in Europe and in the league for him not to want to leave. John, I'm so disappointed. He's not even slurring. Anthos, good evening to you, mate. Morning from site. Oh, you bastard. You're in site. Where are you? What part are you in again? Lingard's a love child, like Sochet. They're both in the team. Sub plays for Kudish. I don't know. Lingard hasn't even been signed yet. Michael, what do you think of the new Moyes coaching staff? Interesting. I forgot to mention that. Heitinger. Damn it. I've forgotten the other one. And, of course, Mark Robson. There's 3, isn't there? Mark Robson. I kind of said it. I wasn't that impressed with what he was doing with the under-21s. Steve Potts is now coach of the under-21s, and he's been managing them for the last 3 weeks or so, and they've been doing superb under him. I'm not so sure about Robson as coach for the senior team. But Heitinger, as I said a few weeks ago when we were signing both Kudish and Alvarez, Moyes approached Heitinger and someone else, name skips me now, approached 2 coaches from other clubs to ask them about those 2 players. I think Heitinger was he temporary manager at Ajax and something, and the other player managed, I think, Alvarez as well, and they sang their praises, and then a few weeks later, Heitinger comes in as a coach. I think Heitinger's a good option, a good choice. Not so sure about Robson. There's another one, isn't there? And the name skips my mind. Yeah. Robson, Heitinger, yeah, don't mind. Jeff, and I still want to see Fornals play. He's proper hammer. Nobody talking about him. And this is the thing, Jeff. This is what we need. This is what we want. We want strength in depth. We want players fighting for those positions. So I asked the question earlier, who would you drop for Kudus? Who would you drop for Fornals to play? John. Oh, wait. That's it as an... Daniela. James, yes, that's why we said 5 games in 15 days. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of games. And there's going to be a lot of games. And there's going to be, hopefully, a lot of squad rotation. And everyone will get a bit of game time. I'm not doing that. The cats are all safe. Michael, is it me or is Rum making still screen chat blur? It's you. I've got no rum left in this. It's just Coke now. Graham, I was really hoping that to keep Declan Rice, but I think that the team as a whole is much better now that he's moved on. I agree. Epic. We'll have a busy schedule. Moy should rotate and rest players, but he probably won't. I think he will. I think he trusts players like Fornals. I think he will have trust in the likes of Kudus as well. I think he's got options, hasn't he? I think, this is what we want. We want a squad that is going to be competing. We want a squad that's going to be challenging to play in the first team. That can only be a good thing. Gray, good evening to you. Antonio, who else we got to score goals? Lots. I think we have. I think we do. We've got Bowen that can score goals. I think Ben Rama can score goals. I think Kudus, when he plays, can score goals. I think with James Ward-Prowse being in the team, he can be a good provider in set pieces for our defenders, etc. Like I said earlier in the show, I think we're going back to what we were a couple of seasons ago when we were sharing the goals across the whole team. Hammers Mikey, bit ironic because Moyes pulled Lingard off to get him to come back to the club. Then Lingard gets pulled off again after 75 minutes in a match behind closed doors. Well, if he's not fit, I'm not surprised he got pulled off. Jeff, very possible Kudus up front. Antonio would be an explosive sub. I'm not suggesting for a minute that Antonio will be replaced by Kudus to start games, but I can certainly see it in cup competitions and stuff like that. Jason, Antonio left wing, Kudus centre, Bone on the right, then switch positions throughout the game. Antonio terrorized City's right back a few times last season. Good shout, Jason. Yeah, I like that. That's a good shout. Daniela, I'm not sure the City game is the right game for Kudus to start. Maybe the European game or Liverpool away, testing that flaky back four. Yeah, good point as well. Montana, if that's the case, he's not getting signed. He stayed on the bench for too long. I don't know how players make decisions. Well, he went for the money. You're talking about Lingard, I'm sure. Number 41 Miss Duffer should keep it shut. Well, he was careful in his interview today. Wayne, I agree. Kudus is a perfect sub for Antonio. His style of play that suits that, and I think he would be another beast up front. Imagine the team saying, "Thank God Antonio is going off," and then on pops Mohamed Kudus. Yeah, good shout. How far behind am I? How do I manage to get so far behind? Fucking hell. I've got to skip because I'm way behind. Montana, Christ. How do I get so far behind? West Ham are on a very high level, regardless of what the pundits want to say. The manager's tactics are just that. Moyes tried the same tactics at Manure, failed miserably. The league position shows that. So are you happy with Moyes? Do you think Moyes is doing a good job? Hams Mikey. Stel, what do you think of Gabby a Bonglahor's comment saying Moyes? I don't know what he said, so you're going to have to please remind me. I know I saw something earlier, but I didn't read it. So please tell me what he said. Anthos, can't understand Southgate going against his principles, playing informed players. A few of them don't even play for their teams. It is awful. It really is. Michael, when Leicester won the Premier League, they had 30% counter-attacking play every week. Pundits said the bubble will burst, but never did. We're favourites for the league, aren't we? Imagine getting that close. Montana, Saudi League is funny, to be fair. They're just a bunch of teams with loads of money, diluted La Liga in the desert. They will get stronger. They will get stronger. That's my fear. They'll continue to buy and continue to buy. They've got money for it. Trod, Southgate done us a favour not picking form players. We get to keep James Ward-Prowse. Richard, Kudus very left-footed, so Benny replacement or a centre to sub for Antonio. The thing is, he like it. Bowen is very left-footed, but he doesn't always play out on the right. Kudus has never played out on. He doesn't always play out on the left. Kudus has never played out on the left. You look at his stats; they're always in the middle, up front, or out on the right. Hammers Mikey. Stel, what do you think of? You asked me that earlier. You're going to have to remind me what he said. Montana, for a country that boasts of having the best league, why are pundits so adamant on this Big Six narrative? Is it not bad for neutrals? It's awful, but that's where the money is, unfortunately. You know, they like to talk about the Big Six as if they're the only teams that are worth worrying about, which is fucking awful, really. Wayne, really enjoyed the chatter, mate. Time to work in the USA. Just set the bell for the next one. I could murder pie and mash. I miss living in London. Thank you so much, Wayne. Really, really appreciate you coming on. Much appreciated. You better have hit that bloody subscribe button as well. But thank you for coming on. Appreciated. Huge. This is the first time for years where I feel confident playing Man City. For once, I fancy us. Good. Straight vodka. No, it ain't. Yeah, we should feel confident. But, you know, the awful thing is we've had a bloody international break in between. John, talking about Liverpool, why is Carragher playing at being nice about West Ham all of a sudden? I like what Carragher said, you know, about he gets it, etc. I liked it. I think it was good. You know, he said it's not rocket science, whatever it was he said. Fair play to him for coming out and speaking up for us. Trudge, disappointing we didn't replace Skamaka. That Wahi guy seems to be flying now because Gray said we need it. We need a striker. Do we need it? I mean, look, when it comes to the January window, I hope we don't make the same mistake as we did a few seasons ago where we didn't get anybody in during that, what was it, the 2021 January window when we got nobody in. We're going to need to get, players in this January window just to keep the squad fresh. I totally agree with you. Hammers Mikey. John Carragher talks in riddles. He praises you but degrades you without it sounding degrade. He didn't this time. What's this? Sean, good evening to you, mate. It is, why have I got that up there? Sean, yeah, I just thought, why not? Got nothing to do. Mrs. is away. So come on and talk shit, really. Martin, a good time for James Ward-Prowse to pick up a knock during the international break. Let's hope it's not too bad. Mr. Doofus, Alvarez is he's brilliant. I like him. I normally go for the flair players, but I look at him and I think, what a footballer this guy is. He's going to get in people's faces. He's going to piss people off. He's going to make sure he tries not to get too many bookings, etc. But he's going to be one of those dirty bastards you don't want to be up against. Michael, Zuma is doing a great job as captain. Will he get the role for the season? I don't see why not. Why change it now? You know, he's decided to go with Zuma at the beginning of the season. Why change it now? I think it shows. Look, we know Zuma is going to get injured at some point. Then Moyes can decide who might become captain thereafter. But as of now, why not keep him as captain? Gently caress the like button. Thank you very much, Billy Bob. I hope you're well. People, gently caress the like button. Hit the fucking subscribe button and also bang on the other one, bell notification to let you know when I'm next on. Great. The football is boring, but we are so good at the counter. But it's interesting, isn't it? Yeah, I know we all want to have possession-based football and all that sort of stuff. But what did Moyes say after the Brighton game? When he was asked about possession, he said something like, well, they can keep the ball after the game. I'll take the 3 points. And that bottom line is what it actually is. We hate it. When we don't have the ball, when we was at Brighton and, Brighton had like 80% possession of the ball, it is boring. It is like, you just want to please get that ball. And when you get it, please pass and move and control it, have a little bit of possession, etc. But I tell you what, when we scored those 3 goals, even in our 21% possession or whatever it was, they counted. That counter-attacking was superb, to be honest. You always thought I was a mister on. Thank you very much for that. Montana, this is true still. Arsenal will suffer going forward. Rice always out of position. Alvarez has taken the mantle to protect the back four. Watch our games. We have conceded only when he tires. We have. Would be nice to keep a clean sheet, but I'll tell you something. It's different. Our midfield is different. I've said it. I said it as soon as the season ended last season and we knew that Declan Rice was going. I said, I hope we get a defensive midfielder. It's what we're missing. Even if we don't buy any other player, we need to have a defensive midfielder who will change the way we play our football. And lo and behold, we've got a good one. Get Gray. Don't care who you are. Don't want to play for us. Go. Yeah, true. Trudge. Problem is, it's true. Problem is, we'll be lucky if Zoom plays 25 to 30 games if we make him captain. Keep him as captain for now. If he gets injured, worry about that at that time and offer it. It'll probably be Ward-Prowse that will get the captaincy if Zuma is injured. Adam, Arsenal isn't winning the league. Nope. And if Rice gets 5 goals all season, he'll be lucky. Agreed. We'll win nothing this year. They might win the League Cup, but then Declan could have stayed and win the Europa League with us. I don't think it's Dec's fault. He has Southgate and a load of soppy pundits telling him he has got to get forward and get goal. That is true, Obsidian. That's a good point. You know, what was it? Various Keane, etc., sort of going on about Declan and, not being the full, not being an all-rounded midfielder. Sod that. Who's the player that I keep? Is it Makaleli who made defensive midfield an art? You know, when he played for Chelsea and he played for Real Madrid, etc. He made it an art, and Declan Rice should have gone, fuck you lot. This is the way I play. This is the way I play my football. We know he can get forward every now and again, but you're absolutely right. I think someone, Adam said it. He's not going to score more than, he won't get double figures in goals. And I think he should just accept, he's the best defensive. He could become the best defensive midfielder in the world. But now, because he wants to be a different type of footballer, he's in danger of just becoming another midfielder. Could be wrong, but anyway. James, Alvarez is the perfect replacement for Rice and about 70 mil excess in the bank to boot. Absolutely. It's kind of strange how people compare him and Souček as like for like, though. No, they're different players, aren't they? Because Souček doesn't but Souček is kind of more a box to box, because he can get on the end of crosses and all that sort of stuff. Souček will put his foot in, but he's not. Alvarez is a very different player. He's a unique. Not that many players that play defensive midfield and play it so well. Alvarez is very good at it. Mr. Doofus, my daughter has 5 cats. They've never been outside. See, But when we're moving soon. We've got a big garden, and they can fuck off there all day and do what they have to do. Definitely product placement. You know my email address. All you got to do is say, Stel, I've just bought you a bottle of what was it? Captain Morgan's Black Spice, and I will accept it gratefully. Sean, is this a rum? Rum is gross. No, it's not. Try it, Jeff. You'll love it. And if you don't blame me. You talk a lot of sense, especially. Adam, a nice JD single, but I don't like whiskey. I don't like bourbon or whatever it's called. I don't like, Key, we have 2 rescued Cyprus cats called Chaos and Perseus or Percy. Are they grateful? Are they fucked? They take the right piss. Absolutely. You see the monster she picked. Well, okay, I'll tell you how we got the Cyprus cat. We were on the beach last year in Cyprus, and this poor little fucking cat was being bullied by, I think, some Germans on the beach, etc. And Lenny my partner went, "Don't you do that to the cat?" And then she, tried to protect the cat, and then she saw it had a bit of an injury under its neck. She went, "Oh, the poor cat! We got to take it to a vet." And I knew the minute I took that fucking cat to a vet, it was coming home with us. She took it to a vet, sorted out the neck, etc. And the vet went, when are you coming back to pick your cat up? And I went, it's not ours. And well, what do you mean? And well, we picked it up from the beach. And, well, what do you want me to do with it? And then went, well, we'll come back tomorrow. And I knew just then, I knew that cat was coming home with us. Fuck's sake. I don't want to go on holiday anywhere. It's Cat Island, isn't it, Keith? There's more cats than there are people on the island of Cyprus. Obsidian. Anyway, I keep going up. How did you get a cat through customs? Just it didn't. It had to be in quarantine. She put it in quarantine and then arranged for it to fly over. Fucking hell. Fucking they get treated better than I do. I mean, they get looked after better than I do. Sometimes I come home and I'm like, what we're gonna eat for dinner? Oh, I don't know. And she's there feeding the fucking cat. She's feeding them salmon and fucking fresh chicken and all that. What about, oh yeah, that was my dinner. Thanks for that. That salmon was mine. The cats have got it. Anyway, Montana, I wonder why Sky don't entertain more Leicester-like seasons. Doesn't that make the league more competitive, entertaining, and unpredictable? It does, but they go with it. They've got a worldwide audience, so they've got to show Man United and Liverpool and Man United and Liverpool, haven't they? Hams Mikey. Sean, Freshfielder, don't know, but some people are spirits. Anthony, Stel, if we beat Man City, I'll buy you 2 bottles of Captain Morgan. Make sure they're spiced. Black spiced, just in case you missed it, mate. That one. Oh, come on, West Ham. Oh, I want 2 bottles of black spice from you, mate. Great. Ward Prowse, I've been going on about we should sign him for years. Great shout. He's been absolutely fantastic for us. Absolutely. Good evening to you, Mandy. How are you? I hope you're well. Mr. Doofus, don't want Qatari blood, man. I kind of don't either, to be honest with you. I don't know. I'm not so sure. Anthony, anything to get Sully and Brady out? Really? Oh, I don't know, Antos. I'm not so sure. Qataris are gas. You would have to ruin it, wouldn't you? Daniela, did you hear about the clueless Gabby saying JWP should have signed for a big club if he wants? Is that what he said? It's gas money from Qatar. They have about 140 years worth. Okay, I got that wrong. Well, it's running out anyway. Montana, we don't need the filthy Arab money. Imagine that I read somewhere Saudis want to make Newcastle like Madrid, completely out of touch with English football. Next thing they'll want us to be like Barca. Well, here's the interesting thing. It doesn't matter how rich your owners are, because the minute you start getting into European football, etc., you've got to abide by financial fair play. You've got no choice, so... I know, look at what Chelsea are currently doing at the moment by offering long contracts in order to sign. Spent £1 billion, Bowley. £1 billion on players. He's only been there 5 minutes. It's not going to buy him success. It's going to buy confusion. But, they can all, it doesn't matter how rich your owners are. And I kind of, for Newcastle, I kind of admire it because they've not gone out spending a shitload of money when they are the richest club in the world, aren't they now? Hammers Mikey, Morgan Spice rum, but the black stuff gives me the licorice turds. It's a bit like Guinness and Buckfast tonic wine. Buckfast? That's what the winos are drinking. It's a little bit more than we wanted to know, but thank you for that. Always wanted to learn electric guitar. Boom, boom. I didn't realize they were gas. I thought they were raw. Why did I think they were raw? Well, it shows how little I know. Montana, are we genuinely going to get a football-specific stadium? No. No. I think what they'll try to do over the years is continue to try and improve the stadium. No one wants to buy it. There's all this stuff about Kretinsky wants to buy the stadium and the Qataris want to buy the stadium. For what purpose? There's no money to be made. If you operate the stadium, and like I said earlier in the show, if you're operating the stadium, that's a sort of different kettle of fish. You still don't have overall ownership of it, but you're running it on behalf of the LLDC, and there's money that could be made from that. But outright ownership, it's a lost leader. It won't, well, it's not even a leader. It won't make money. So I don't know why the Qataris or anybody else will want to buy it. Hence, no, I don't think we'll ever have a football-specific stadium. You can try and continue to improve it. And I think over the years, West Ham will sort of like try to get it even better on the sides. Behind the goals, it ain't that bad. I know above, sitting in the second tier, it's not great. But, I'm in the Bobby Moore lower, and it's not too bad. If they can find a way of pushing it closer on the sides and doing something to link up the top tiers, but that'll cost an awful lot of money. So I think the answer is, unfortunately, no. I don't think we will ever have a football-specific stadium. Schmeigel, Qataris buying Spurs wouldn't make any sense, especially as they have a lot of Jewish supporters. Would that really matter to the Qataris? I don't know. But yeah, good point. That's a good point. Let me scroll down. Montana. I don't want Americans or All-Ringers. Just keep Sully. The attention it comes with it is not worth it. Man City is still tiny than manure, regardless of their bought trophies. I enjoy Moyes ball. There you go. It doesn't mean, if you buy, I mean, Newcastle might have a shit season this season. You never know. It doesn't automatically buy you success. All right. Bought Man City some success, definitely, but not automatically. Montana, I'm interested to see how the new UEFA competitions will work with all this complicated scheduling. Still, do a show on what will get affected in the next season. Are you talking about not this current season? You're talking about next season. Am I right in thinking that? Because at the moment, I don't think it impacts too much. Play on Wednesday if you're Champions League. Play on Tuesdays and Wednesdays. If you're Europa and Europa Conference, play on Thursdays. But are they changing? They're changing it for next season. Is that correct? Michael, human rights is overrated. It wasn't until 2001 that same-sex marriage was allowed in the UK, but they are, with the greatest of respect, still quite far behind, aren't they, Michael? To be honest with you, I mean, we got someone mentioned it in my Monday show. We got a lot of, gay supporters. We've got Pride, West Ham Pride, etc. What would happen if the Qataris did take over? What would then happen with sort of gay LGBT supporters, etc.? How would they feel about that? Should they be bothered? I think they should, but be interesting. Irons Lady, good evening to you. Is Creswell due a testimonial even if he leaves in the next window? Well, he would have done 10 years, so you would expect him to do so. But testimonials are kind of the old-fashioned, because when players weren't earning a lot of money, testimonials used to be done so that they would have a nice little boost, to sort of, to move on. Players don't need, certainly not financially, players don't need testimonials anymore. It's a courtesy more than anything else. I would expect that he would probably deserve one, but I don't know if he will get one, to be honest with you. Let's scroll down. Hammers Mikey, delusional fans singing Super David Moyes, completely embarrassing. I don't know, mate. I don't think we'll ever hear it at home, but we certainly the last two games I've been to, the Luton game and the Brighton game, the away fans have been singing it, and we won both those games pretty easily. Michael, fans are fickle. When team is winning, they love everyone. When losing, they need a scapegoat. Good shout. Good shout. Anthos, we got to Super Tim Steiden. If it hadn't been for him, we would have signed no. Do you know, here's an interesting thing, because I got led to believe that the four players that we signed had an awful lot to do with Steiden, but it seems not necessarily so. So JWP, for example, was someone that everybody at the club unanimously agreed on. So he wasn't a Steiden signing. And then Alvarez, we all thought, oh, well, he's a Steiden signing, but apparently not. He'd been scouted for the last couple of seasons. And I think I said on my Monday show, the reason why we didn't sign him sooner was because we had, I don't think it's a good excuse, but the reason given is because we had Souček and Declan Rice. So it seemed that there wasn't necessarily a great need to sign a player like Alvarez. Now that Rice is gone, we've now got Alvarez. But apparently we scouted him for a couple of seasons. So you can't actually say that we got Steiden getting that player in. And then Kudus apparently isn't necessarily a Steiden signing. Apparently it's someone that was scouted again, but not necessarily by Steiden. The only player that is attributable to Steiden is Mavropanos. Now, what's interesting is that Moyes kept pushing and pushing and pushing for Maguire, and apparently it was Steiden that said, we ought to look at other players. Here's one that's a very good player, playing in the German league, etc., etc. What Mavropanos has now got to do when he gets his game time is to prove his worth, because if he proves that he's good enough, that was a recommendation by Steiden, which means that Moyes will have more trust in Steiden when he recommends any future players as well. It's because I was with you. I thought that Steiden was the reason why we signed a lot of the players that we signed. Seems not. Now, Steiden has gone out there, apart from Ward-Prowse, and he's actually pushed. He's persuaded the agents, players' agents, and the players themselves to say, this is West Ham United is where you need to be. So he's the one that certainly helped to get those players to West Ham, but they're not necessarily Steiden identified players. I think what's interesting is, and again, I said this in my Monday show, I think what Steiden has done is he's come in and he's gone, okay, Mr. Moyes, this is a style of football that you want to play. What I will do is endeavour to help you get the players you need to play that system. So by getting the likes of, I can see sense in getting Alvarez, because of that defensive midfield requirement, getting James Ward-Prowse, because of, one of our big things that we did in the past was scoring a lot of goals from set pieces. That's fallen away. Do you remember, like in the last couple of seasons, trying to take corners, couldn't even get the ball higher than the first player? Always really duff corners, etc. Now we've got Ward-Prowse to give us set piece play, which is great. You can do a lot more as well. We've got Mavropanos, which is good for defensive cover as well, and Kudish as well. So I think what Steiden has done is he's gone, what do you need? Fine. Who is it you're targeting? Fine. I'll do the busy, go out and make sure that those players sign for us. It's a team effort. It's good. But I'm glad Steinen's in. I think he's been very important to us. I think he's demonstrating that he's got a role to play at West Ham. Obsidian, no difference is we are winning. Horrible football becomes bearable when you win. Doesn't it just? It does become bearable when you're winning. Schmiegel. Moyes deserves credit for what he has achieved, of course, but he's very limited tactically, and I don't think he can handle bigger squads with more quality players in them. Well, we kind of saw that, didn't we? So it's going to be very interesting. We've got a big squad. We 25-man squad again. 24-man squad we've named in Europe this season. So we have got enough of a squad. Let's see how he uses them this season. Hammers Mikey, TV viewers get a better view of games over fans inside the ground. That's a good point. I just think it feels different. It does. And I'm not besmirching or putting down any people that can't go to games. Everyone has their reasons why they can or can't go. But I think you see a different game. And yeah, it's a good point. You get a better view. We don't see, well, we kind of, I don't know. I think the game goes faster when you're watching it, when you're at the ground, so maybe we don't see those, that 80% possession is kept by the opposition team. Schmiegel, Moyes is good at getting a tune out of not so great players. Good point. Mandy, is Kudus crucial to our Premier League objectives relating to top 7? I think he is. I think every player that we've got is going to be crucial. Let's not forget, we'll pick up injuries, and these players have got to be ready to step in at any time. I think, yes, he is crucial. I think he can help us to push for a top 7 finish without a doubt. Lee, fans that can't attend games rely on media to inform. Right. So you've got the games themselves, and then you've got social media as well. Does social media always depict what really is going on? I'm trying to be careful how to ask this question, because you could watch a game and you might have an impression of what you've just seen 90 minutes. You go on social media and all of a sudden you're influenced by other people's opinions, which may not always be what you've originally seen yourself. Is social media fair on what is going on the pitch, or is it a little bit too harsh at times? Someone just said, when we're winning, playing non-possessive football, only having 20%, 25% of the ball, looks great when we're winning. We all handle it when we're winning. It's when we're losing it doesn't look so great. Does social media push that rhetoric to say it's all shit, it's all boring, it's all et cetera, et cetera? Is it fair? Is it fair on Moyes? Is it fair on the team what social media pushes out? James, still, if we were offered 2 good seasons and 1 bad 3 years ago, we'd have all bitten their hands off for it. We're very, very short. It's a good point. And that's the other thing about West Ham United. What are we as a football club? We've never been a regularly successful football club. It's not to say we shouldn't be, but, I'm 62 years of age. I've seen us win a few cups. I've seen us being relegated. There's fans that haven't seen us get relegated, and think that only the last couple of years is what counts. We've had shit seasons, even at the Bowlings, even under different managers, even under the great John Lyle. John Lyle relegated us twice, and he's won us cups as well. But, it's like, I think, we've got to look at what Moyes has done over the last couple of seasons, and we've got to say to ourselves, finishing 6th, finishing 7th, semi-final of the Europa League, winning the Europa Conference League, etc. What are we as a football club? We've never been regularly successful. This is one of the most successful periods in our history. Having finished regularly top 6, top 7, European football, 3 historic seasons in a row. What are we as a club? Because we've not had that in the past. We've not. We've had successes in Europe. What was it, 1964 or whatever it was? And we've had success in domestic cup competitions, but it's not been consistent. So isn't it? Are we not going through a purple patch at the moment? Yeah, I get it. The football's not great. I get it. Absolutely. The football is not the most interesting, but fuck me, it works. Adam, it's all about winning and giving fans joy. 3 years in Europe. There we go. 6, 7, 14, European football, etc. Any of you would have said that? Would any of you have said that 5 years ago? I'm not happy sometimes, but I've loved the last 3 years. Yeah, absolutely. Bees knees. Good evening to you. Moyes doesn't deserve credit yet. We will see come December and the end of the season. He almost single-handedly relegated us, but does deserve some credit for Europa Cup. Good point, yeah. Last season in the league was absolutely abysmal. It was terrible. We shouldn't have been in that position, and I get that. Fred, Moyes has been told to play all new signings. Whether he does is another matter. Well, so far, the only players that have, he's played 2 out of the 4. Mavropanos was nursing a bit of a back injury, etc. I think he's been in action for Greece in international football. So let's see what happens when he comes back, when they all come back next week. And Kudish has also been involved. So let's see how he's going to try and fit them in. Mandy, the thing with Moyes is that he knows how to make parking the bus work. When he altered the system, we were dire. It's interesting, isn't it? But what is it as a fan do you want? Yeah, I want to be of course, we all want to be entertained. Football is an entertainment industry. Of course, you want to go there and be entertained. But then when you walk away with 3 points, do you remember how much possession you had? You just remember the goals you've scored. No, I don't know. I have the moment. Good evening to you. I'd like to see Mavropanos play soon as well. I do. I think he will get his time. And I think Moyes has got options. When Moyes wants to go through at the back, and which he will do against certain teams, I think we'll see Mavropanos play then. And I think Mavropanos will also play in cup competitions as well. And like we said earlier in the show, Zuma's not going to last the season. He'll be out injured sooner or later. And I think Mavropanos will step in for him as well. Graham, too early to make a call on Moyes. It's looking decent right now, but it's a long season. And does he have the knowledge to change tactics when required? Well, I've just mentioned, I think he will go with a 5 at the back at times when he thinks he needs to. Michael, no time for sentiment in football. Players come and go. We keep some for too long. We do. We've got an issue with the number of our players. Antonio, 33, 34 years of age. Creswell, 33 years of age. A number of players in their 30s. All right, you can play when you're 30s, but you slow down a little bit. Ogbonna, etc. We do sometimes we do keep players a bit longer than we should. When they're well into their 30s, and maybe we should have replaced them sooner. Schmiegel, I'm looking forward to seeing Kudish play more, but his best position is on the right. Yep, and Moyes will most likely play him on the left. I can't see him doing that. Well, square pegs, round holes, that's Moyes' trait, isn't it? But it might happen. I think someone said earlier in the show for Man City, maybe put Antonio on the left, Bowen on the right, and maybe Kudish in the middle, or Bowen in the middle and Kudish on the right, and let them interchange. I could see that possibly happening. Fred, if Kudish doesn't start, I can see same old problem and another quality player being wasted. I hope I'm wrong. I think he will play. I think we just need to be patient. We just need to be patient and see who Kudish will replace in the first 11 to take his place. Martin Keona's claims, Mandy, he will not attend West Ham games as he listed London Stadium alongside others he avoids because what a pile of shit. I read that earlier on today and I thought, what's going on with you, mate? Fucking where? There's a lot of banter that goes on at West Ham, but I don't ever remember any pundit or anyone like that being fucking hit or attacked or anything like that. What an absolute... I mean, I know that happened to Roy Keane and I can't remember who else in a game recently. We don't do that. We don't do that. A lot of banter, but we don't do that sort of shit. Anthos, I'm in this hot place still, Nicosia. Oh, mate. Which part of Nicosia? My dad was from Strovolos, which is a suburb of Nicosia. And I've got family that live in Seri nearby, and Acropolis and places like that near Strovolos, etc. Not going anywhere. I went earlier this year for a wedding, but I'm not going in October. I don't know. Might fit in a quick holiday, in October. Who knows? Gavin, Jesse is a dope and a drink head. Jesse is a dope and drink head. Good player, throwing his career down the drain, getting lazy. Let's hope he's pulled it around. James, we haven't lost a game since May the 28th, 3.5 months. The unbeaten Mosiah all take off a shoe to show you're following the enlightened one. Another bit of Monty Python there. I might watch that later on. Life of Brian. It's always good for a laugh. Hammers Mikey. I just did remind you, Stel, when you read my second comment about Gabby or Bong. You did, and thank you. Who else we got? Bee's Knees. I didn't think anyone would be awake on a Saturday night, like at this time of night. And I didn't even promote the show, and I got 188 of you keeping me going until 1 o'clock in the morning. Great. Well, I might do a few more of these. Bee's Knees. I really hope we can kick on now. Keep building quality squad to compete. Absolutely. Lee, liked, commented, and even sent you some beer money on pet. Thank you. I really do. But I'm chuffed when people do it, and I only joke, but I'm grateful. Thank you. Not looking for praise. You've just got it. Reminding others they can send you a couple of quid for your efforts. I really appreciate that. Thank you, Lee. Honestly, mate, I really do. I might be able to afford myself another bottle of rum. Did I say I've run out of rum? Yeah. Otherwise, I've got to open the expensive stuff. Do what Lee does. Fucking give me. No, I'm kidding. Thank you, Lee. Really appreciate it. Mr. Doofus, possession-based football, what, like England with no end product? Oh, yeah. Southgate, Moyes, ex-defenders. Jeff, I found it a bit boring. It's necessary when we screw people up. I've not found it boring. It's necessary when we we screw. You know what? I've not found it boring. I tell a lie. At the Luton game in the first half, before we scored, I did turn around to my mates and go, bit boring this. I did say that. And then we went and scored and won the game. And I went, yeah, not so boring. Hammers Mikey. Third time lucky still. I'll explain again. What do you think of Gabby's comments saying Moyes' ability to change things up in games sets him apart from other managers? Well, he doesn't change things in games, does he? So I'm surprised that Bronglehor said that. He doesn't. I don't know where Bronglehor got that from. Downey 8, good evening to you. Paquetá captain for me? No, I'd rather let him free, not give him that mantle to have to wear. No, I'd rather he wasn't captain. Michael, worst thing Rice did was play the West Ham fans, and knew he was going, kept them singing one more year with his waving of his hand. I knew he was going. It was obvious. I knew he was going. I remember I put a very short video out in the semi-final when I was at the semi-final of the game in the Europa Conference League away against Alkmaar. When he came over, the game had ended. The fans were waiting to leave the stadium, and he came back out and he was filming the fans. And I filmed him filming, and I said, nice memento for when Declan leaves. It was obvious he was going. He knew. What was interesting is the board was saying, or Sullivan said, we agreed this time last year that he was going. I think a lot of us really knew, to be honest with you. Say to Jerry, don't like it, mate. Too harsh. I think it's whiskey based, isn't it? Hammers Mikey. Schmiegel. Think Gabby has been smoking Moyes' pink cigar as well. I don't what game changes did Bronglehor mention? It changes the game during he doesn't though, does he? P. Gads, Uzo, disgusting stuff. Ugh, no. Jeff, Declan Rice, know your place. I actually prefer Alvarez anyway. He loves playing there. This is it. He loves playing in that position. Absolutely. Yes, we do. Keith, more cats than people. I love Cyprus. Great place. If you didn't know, my parents are from Cyprus, and you ought to go. If you've never been, you ought to go on holiday there. You'll love it. Don't take my word for it. It's true. Did you find Virgin Atlantic? Jeff, West Ham are always on TV because we are massive. Martin, how did you get the stray cat in quarantine, mate? It was flown to us. Fucking flown to us. Fucking, I didn't pay for it. She did. You know, she likes cats. I put up. I like cats, but she pays for it all. Michael, Chelsea method has drawbacks. They won't be able to sign anyone in the next 8 years without saying, well, this is the thing. That's the drawback. Put all these players on 8-year contracts, and then what? You're absolutely right. Financial fair play will definitely catch up with them without a shadow of a doubt. Let's scroll down. Good evening, Freedom Sounds. How are you? Mexico play in a couple of hours. Going to watch our El Machine. I didn't know that. Maybe I won't watch Life of Brian and try and find the Mexico game instead. Thank you for that. New name, Freedom Sounds. Do subscribe. Thank you for joining. Jim Bean. Jim Bean. Good evening. Well, I'm not laughing at your name. I'm laughing because we've been talking about whiskey and rum. So welcome, Jim. I like Moyes, just not sure he's going to take West Ham to the next level. I love the Scottish serial killer. And what is, and I mean it honestly, are we not in the next level? I mean, seriously, have we not been in the next level for the past 3 seasons? I mean that sincerely. What is the next level for? I'm not having a go at you, Jim. I'm just asking in a general way, what is the next level expectation for West Ham United? Is it regular top 6, regular top 4, or regular top 6? What is it? Because now we've got them, we've got the usual so-called top 6. I've always thought it to be the top 5 because there's no way you include Spurs in the top 6. Now Newcastle are there. You can argue this is the top 6, and it's going to be more and more difficult for teams to break into that top 6. I'm not saying that Liverpool and Arsenal, Man United, Man City, etc., are going to always be in that top 6. But the expectation, and Chelsea are not going to have a shit seasons that they did last season and this season. They will eventually sort it out. So all these teams are going to be continuously fighting for top 6. They've got endless money, etc., etc. It's going to get more and more difficult for West Ham United. For clubs like West Ham, for clubs like Brighton, etc., to try and continue to regularly break into the top 6. So what is next level for us? I'm asking on a serious question. What is next level for us? Isn't it what we've been doing for the last 3 seasons? Finishing top 6, top 7, European football, semi-final of European football, etc., etc. If we win another cup this season, whether it be Europe or domestic, isn't that sort of continues to be the next level, even if we only finish, I don't know, maybe 8th or 9th in the league? I don't know. And I genuinely ask that question. What's our expectation of next level? What do we as fans expect next level to be for West Ham United? Is it regular top 6? Because if it is, I don't even know if, even if we get a super duper manager, with the funding, with the funds that we have, etc., then you start going into, do we get bought out? Do the Qataris come in or whoever and buy us out and then really, really push for us to get into the next level? Because I don't know. I'm a lifelong fan. I've been, first game I went to was when I was 14, 15 years of age, and I've seen West Ham up, down, win a cup, get relegated, etc., etc. We've never had this level of consistency ever since my time. We've never had this amount of consistency in our football. Yes, 14th finish last season was awful, wasn't great. But I don't know if that will happen again. So if we finish, let's say for argument's sake, if we finish in the top 10 this season and we win a cup, domestic cup or whatever, is that not next level, or is that a failure? Because I don't know what next level is meant to look like for West Ham United. I genuinely don't. I don't know what we're expecting as a fan base, because for me, finishing 6th, finishing 7th, being in Europe 3 seasons, in the semi-final of a European competition, winning a European competition for me is next level. But maybe my expectations are too low. I don't know. But genuinely would like you guys to tell me what you believe next level is. It's a good question. It's a good point, Jim. And I'm not having a go at you for raising it because I think it's a valid point. But what is next level for West Ham United? I really, really don't know. Mr. Doofus, stop using big words. I know. Well, good evening to you. Didn't expect to see you here so late. I didn't expect me to be here so late, mate. To be quite honest with you. Jim, put Unai Emery or De Zerbi at West Ham. I'm sorry they will be top 5 all the time. You've answered it. So thank you for that. It's possible. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see how both Unai Emery and De Zerbi get on in the league this season, because not only will they have domestic football, they now have European football to compete with as well. Thursday, Sunday. You know, it will take its toll, and fair play to them if they get through it. Fair play to them, because I think we suffered last season. We did really well the season before when we finished 7th in Europe. But if both Emery and De Zerbi get through this season, where they keep their teams up at the top and also get through European football and succeed, then fair play. Let's not forget we succeeded. And I don't care what people say about the Europa Conference League and the sort of teams we played. You play who you play, you play who you're picked against. You know, we don't have any say in that. You know, it's tougher this season when we're back in Europa League, but we did really well the season before last when we were in Europa League. We played some big teams then, and we got to the semi-finals. We should have won that semi-final against Eintracht Frankfurt, to be quite honest with you. Absolutely, we stalled. We kind of stalled there, but we've done really well. So I want to see what Emery and De Zerbi do in the league this season, because if they do really, really well in the league, as well as winning a competition, then fair play. But I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see. Let's scroll down. Hammers Mikey. End of the day, though, that is Steiden who had to persuade the players to sign, not Moyes. He's a negotiator. Steiden, while Moyes sits in. Absolutely. And I totally agree with that, Hammers Mikey. Steiden had a massive role to play to sell the club to those players. Absolutely agree with that. Upton, good evening to you. Fantastic start, not pretty, but rather than scrambling around towards the bottom. Absolutely, absolutely. Jim, I'm listening, by the way, as I'm talking crap. Would you be a top number 2, just not a jumped up plebeian like Newcastle Mike Tyndall? I'm listening, by the way, as you're not talking crap at all, mate. Absolutely not. I think everyone's got a valid point on this show, you know, and if we agree or disagree, doesn't matter. Everyone's got a point of view. So you're not talking crap at all. I think I've been waffling a little bit, you know, maybe that's got the rum. I need to drink a bit of water. Freedom Sounds. Steiden is the man who gets the deals done. Moyes, Noble, and Newman all contribute. I think it's a team effort. I think it's interesting. I think what we've seen, I think at the beginning of this transfer window, when we started hearing all these stories about, there's fallout, Steiden doesn't get on with Moyes, Moyes doesn't like Steiden, etc., etc. It seems that whatever has happened, they've found a way of working together. It's a team effort. Everyone's involved in this. You know, absolutely, Steinen is absolutely crucial. He sells the club to people. He's a salesman. He'll go out and he'll tell the agents and the player why they should be signing for West Ham. And long may it continue. Well, I read earlier Cresswell scored from a free kick and will be back in the team. He definitely did against Ipswich in the behind closed doors game. I don't know if that's enough for him to get back in the team or not, but certainly it's great to have him as a backup, which I think is what he should be. Wolf, good evening to you. We need Areola to keep having world-class performances like against Brighton. Wasn't he great? You know, absolutely. And I know he made a couple of slips. He did it against Luton where the ball slipped out of his hand while he reached for it. But other than that, I think he deserves his time as number 1. And I think it's going to prove to be a massive bonus for us. Jeff, can't believe how good Souček is since Declan's gone. Got some superb. Now, about 2 years ago, give or take, I did a show where I talked about, you know, Souček has lost form. And I suggested back then it's because Declan Rice wants to play a different style of football. He doesn't want to be the holding midfielder. He wants to be more of box to box. Yeah, because I remember talking about Souček. Whenever we used to be on the counter attack, Souček would always, before he made the run forward, Souček would always look behind him and see Declan Rice there, so he'd know that he can go forward and support the attack. That didn't happen in the last year and a half or so, 2 seasons or so, because Declan Rice wants to be the player going forward. So Souček has to stop his run and sort of sit behind. It's not his natural game. He's not a natural defensive midfielder. But absolutely, now that we've got Alvarez in the team, Souček knows he can now play his natural game. And I'm pleased for him. He's not the most graceful of footballers, but he's another effective footballer, to be honest. Jim, Bowen is flying. He belongs at West Ham. An utter pest finisher. West Ham will fly mid-season. Absolutely. I think we're going to have a good season. It won't be pretty. But I think we're going to have a good season. Wolf, so 58% of our games against Man City, we've got a result. Well, that's not bad if you look at it that way. Someone put a stat up earlier, didn't they? Sean, Lingard's sister opening a Turkish barbers in Istanbul. Dyer's just announced on Besiktas. If I didn't know the character you were talking about, I would have almost believed that. Funky T. Yes, I believe social media is quite negative towards West Ham, but we know what we are. I haven't supported West Ham 50 plus years because we win trophies. Yeah, we win trophies. Stell wino grey hair. There's fucking loads of grey, mate. I'm lucky. I'm Greek. I've got Greek genes. Look, I've got loads of grey. They're all there. It's all there. And look at this. Yeah, and no, I don't use Grecian 2000 or anything like that. Time for bed soon, 1 o'clock. I know. I'll wrap up in a minute. I will wrap up. Daniela, like I said in a different post at the Queen's song that describes what West Ham fans want, that I want it all. I want it all and I want it now. True. Paul, it's all about results. And at the moment, players look happy and scoring great goals. Moyes has got to get credit and let's hope it continues. Wolf, the team needs to get credit. Our fans seem to get them as well. Oh, absolutely. Totally agree. Jeff had £20 on Hammer's top 6. I'm 13-2. Be a nice little bet if that comes through. Astrophos, good evening to you. Results equals success. No one will remember what kind of football we played after 30 years when history will say West Ham Europe Cup winners. Yeah, there you go. Brian, did you see Mubama getting any decent game time? Do I see Mubama getting any? Unfortunately, Brian, probably not. I think he will play in the cup competitions, maybe Europe as well. But what I'd really like, when we're sort of 80 minutes into a game and David Moyes knows he's going to take Antonio off because he's finally blown out of his arse and he needs a rest, is when he brings Ings on. And no disrespect to Ings, it's not his game. But when he brings Ings on and it doesn't work, that's when I would like to see Mubama come on. Mubama is much closer type of footballer to Antonio than Ings is. It happened against Luton. Ings came on. No disrespect to him, but he's not the same sort of player as Antonio is. Can't do the same sort of things. He doesn't have a lot of pace left in him, if he ever had any pace at all. Don't play to the way that his style of football. So I would rather, for those 10 minutes or 5 minutes or 8 minutes or whatever, I'd rather see Mubama come on in place of Antonio, because he'll go at the defenders. He'll hustle and bustle. Is that kind of footballer, bit like Antonio. So he'll go for it and try and disrupt the defense. And that's what you want. You want to unsettle the defense in the dying minutes of a game, so that they frustrate them, that they can't clear the ball up, etc. And I think Mubama would be much better. And I'm disappointed, to be honest, that I've not seen him get 5 or 6 minutes here and there. So I hope it doesn't continue, but I'm afraid I think it probably will. Jim, 6-2 going, but I hope you enjoy 6. Who is the best, Alan Pardew or Kirbishley? West Ham. Thank you for the compliment. Best Alan Pardew or Kirbishley? We had fun under Pardew. Kirbishley was. We had fun under Pardew. Wasn't necessarily the best manager, but we had fun under him. Funky T, last season, Moyes gets a buy for me. Lots of structural changes, team changes, captain changes, at loss of two legends, Noble and Psycho, etc. Yeah, let's see what happens this season. If we have another shit season, because we've started well, doesn't necessarily mean we'll continue to play well. But if we have another shit season, then you could argue, all right, we need to let Moyes go. Now, Moyes is in his last year of his contract, let's not forget. It's going to be interesting to see if West Ham offer him an extended contract or not. I'm not sure at the moment. Upton. Yes, he is, Keown. Fucking wanker. Anyway, good evening, Cyber. How are you? I hope you're well. Upton. Sometimes a stand-up player detracts from the team as a whole. Maybe Rice going was a blessing in disguise. I agree. I don't mean it. I don't think you mean it in a nasty way, and I certainly don't mean it in a nasty way. But I think it is a blessing in disguise. It means the rest of the players are now got to step up and start playing. Turning up for West and not expecting Declan Rice to be doing it all. So I agree. Wolf. Some tactics as he has the obsession. Same tactics as he has the obsession, but the new signings he's brought have really helped, to be honest. Yeah, they have. Same tactics, but Alvarez is playing proper defensive midfield. James Ward-Prowse, all the set pieces, etc., which Moyes relies on, especially playing a counter-attacking football, playing on the break, playing, from scoring goals from corners and all that sort of stuff. Let's see what Mavropanos and Kudish can deliver as well. Let's scroll down, try and come to the end. Downey 8. Did Keown state this before the bully was headbutted at the Emirates? Fuck knows. I don't know. No, he said it the other day, didn't he? What's he talking about? Why would he be worried about going to West Ham United? Why is the rum gone? Because I've drunk it. I've got a dilemma now. Do I watch Life of Brian for about the 98th time, or do I watch the Mexico game? Oh, El Crago. I love your name, El Crago. I love you. Really late live streams. Please keep doing this every week. I can't promise I'll do them every weekend, but I promise I'll do them more often. Absolutely. Saturday, does it work? Seems to. I'm glad you're all with me. I really didn't think I was going to get anyone watching, especially this late. Wolf, I think we need to, but like I said earlier, El Crago, if I don't do them on Saturday, I used to do them on Fridays and I kind of stopped. But I'll come on, I'll do either Fridays or Saturdays, dependent on how things go. Wolf, I think we need to see what happens against City and Liverpool before we get too excited. Absolutely. I said it earlier. You're absolutely right. I think that, Man City is going to be a massive test. Let's see where we're at. If we try and absorb the pressure and have fucking 10% possession, we'll get smashed. We know it. We all know it. We've got to try and do something different to try and stifle Man City and not just sit behind the ball for 90% of the time. Freedom. Ironic how we had the most possession against Luton was probably our most boring game. I'll make you right. There was a moment in the game, kind of like halfway through the second half, where we had something like 30 odd passes. We kept the ball away from Luton and like passing. Wonderful. What happened? It ended up going for a fucking throw on, and that was after about 30, but we couldn't penetrate, couldn't get that ball. Every time we went slightly forward and go back again and then bringing it forward. And we're like, oh, it's pretty. Great possession, great passing. Oh, there it goes. 30 passes on and it went for a throw on. So it does, yeah. Upton, get that expensive stuff out still. Tell the missus that Captain Morgan is a line in. Keith, yes, I agree. We're still going on at Cyprus and bring back a cat or two. Helen, good evening, Helen. How are you? Nice of you to join. See that Germany lost 4-1 to Japan. Did Tilo play? I hope he didn't, or even get called. I think he got called up. I hope he didn't play in that 4-1 defeat. I hope not. Or made a mistake as well. That wouldn't be great. Sean, us against Man City is a clash of the extremes. Need all the luck, but could nick a couple or three. 4-1 home win. Good evening, Lawrence, all the way from Lexington, Kentucky. Thank you for joining, mate. I hope you're well. Daniela, yes, we all know Rice was knocking him, but did it to help us to get the 100 million. Arsenal wanted him to push us for a lower fee to let him go. Well, they didn't, and good. Run fueled and up late, absolutely. Keith, Tilo never played tonight. Germany were totally outplayed. That's why they lost 4-1. Fuck that. God, imagine if he played. Oh God, he would have got slated. Sean, sat waiting for the expensive rum to get broken into. Let me show you the bottles. Right. This is a rum promotion time. I've no idea what it's like. The missus bought me this. This is from I think it's Guatemalan. Is it Guatemalan? Yeah, I can't see where it's from. Anyway, it's got vanilla, chirella, don't know what that is, and pasas, I don't know what that is. Yeah, it's Guatemalan. It's called Mirachiello. Um, I don't know if I want to open it. And then this one is Mercer. It's a bit more closer to home. It's London rum, double barrel tropical fruits rum, Mercer and Co. I don't know which one to open. They both look good. I mean, they look good, don't they? But I don't know if I want to open them. You know, maybe I'll go and buy myself another another normal spice rum for now. There you go, promoting. I should get paid. I should get paid for promoting these rums. Jeff, how many times have we been threatened with a massive takeover bid? Never seems to happen, and it won't seem to happen again. I think the whole Qatari thing is wishful thinking. I really do. I'm glad to be proven wrong if I am, but I just don't think with what people have been saying. Oh well, they pulled out of the Man United deal, you know, so therefore they're looking at West Ham. Look, should West Ham be a lucrative club to buy? A good proposition, absolutely. London-based, big fan base. Big stadium, etc., etc., etc. But I just don't think they'll be looking at West Ham, the Qataris. I like to be proven wrong. City do look shaky, Wolf, but everyone does always tell me that that's how they always look at the beginning of the season. Yeah, apparently the best time to play them is at the beginning of the season. Astrophos. Wolf, we will struggle anyway against City, but I think this season we're way more solid in midfield than we ever was for the last 10 years. Absolutely agree. Alvarez, yet again, how far behind am I? Let's scroll down. Schmiegel, Europa League will be very tough this time round, but we've got a good group, so shouldn't have a problem getting out of it. Look, it's going to be interesting. That German team is nothing to dismiss. I think that they're going to be pretty decent. I think Olympiacos might surprise one or two people. The TSC, the Serbian team. Look, it ain't going to be easy, but I think we should have enough to get through it. I agree. James, I agree, Stel. This is the next level. We're already experiencing our unprecedented third straight year in Europe with a major trophy to boot. This is definitely my preferred level. I'm not, Wolf, here in Greece, we say, tell me who our midfielders are, and I'll tell you what kind of team you are. I think that's correct. And this season, our midfielders are really great. Are you in Greece, Wolf? Oh, sorry, he's talking to Wolf. Sorry, Astrophos. Got confused there for a moment. Montana. Villa haven't even played the group stages. They're already struggling. I'm waiting to see how Brighton will fare. They've gotten a really strong test there. Look. Our test wasn't easy when we were in Europa League the first season, but we got through it. We got through the semi-finals, and despite that, we still finished 7th in the league. If De Zerbi and Emery do anywhere near that, I will turn around and go, well done, fantastic to both of them. But it's going to be very, very interesting to see how they get on. Helen, isn't Bowen refusing signing a contract whilst under the current management? That's what we all thought, but that's a pile of poo. Even I got led to believe that, Helen. But look how he's talking about West Ham United. He speaks of the club so fondly at the moment. He loves playing. He said, I love playing this guy. I love it. You know, why not play to our strengths, etc. He will sign. I think it's just a matter of making sure that it's the right sort of deal for him. Anthony, Areola distribution is crap against Brighton. He kept kicking the ball into touch or giving it straight back to Brighton. Absolutely true. But the ironic thing, I remember saying this after the game. People were talking about questioning Areola's goalkeeping, but his distribution has always been great. And yet he did the reverse in that game, where his distribution was awful, but his goalkeeping was absolutely superb. Nasser, good evening to you. Against Man City and Liverpool, I see 6-4 or 3 points. Oh, what we'll get 6-4, 3 points. I'm going to go for 4. I'm going to go for a draw against Man City, and we're going to go away at Liverpool and smash them because I'm optimistic that way. Sean reckons 6 points, 2 wins. When will we see Mavropanos feature? I think, if Moyes changes the tactics against Man City and plays a back 5, I think we'll see Mavropanos play. Otherwise, we probably won't see him get start until Lincoln coming up, and then of course the European games as well. If we get through Liverpool and City with 2 or 3 points, we have a pretty good run until Christmas. Yeah. And to be honest, I'll even take, we can't get 3. It'll be 2, or it'll be, no, it will be 3. We could win 1 and lose 1. That's true. Do I take a chance and smoke out of my hotel window, even though they have 200 bucks? No, you don't. No, you just get in the lift, go downstairs, go outside for a smoke, and then come back up again. Surely it's not worth paying 250 quid for a cigarette. Adam, remember Brighton, Newcastle, Aston Villa all have Europe, and it will hurt them as they haven't played there for a year, but we have and know what to do. And really good shout. These teams are in Europe for the first time in years, etc. Let's see how they're going to do. Let's scroll down. Thank you, Paul. Much appreciated. Tilo didn't play. Thank goodness for that. Plastic bottle still sling it. What's a plastic bottle? Oh, that was the water. These aren't bloody plastic. Don't tell the missus that. She takes great pride in buying me weird rums from God knows where. It does. I don't know what proof. I haven't even checked. Guatemalans say no more. I hope. No, I ain't doing it. Let's scroll down. Montana. I have a good feeling about the Liverpool Sunday game after Europe. We're used to it, but Liverpool will be new to the short turnaround. We will get a result. Yeah, good point, because they're not in the Champions League. They're also playing on the Thursday. Yeah, good shout. Absolutely good shout. Paul, the way we beat Brighton and Chelsea, we can beat anyone. If you're happy with that, say I'm happy with it. I'm happy with the counter-attacking football. I would like a little bit more possession. I really would. I think we kind of should have. We had it against Luton, but as someone said, that was the most boring game. Absolutely correct there as well. Alvin, good morning to you. Thank you for joining. I'm picking up all the morning people. Thank you for joining, Alvin. Much appreciated. Right, yeah, I'm down the bottom. So I'm going to say for the last time before I go, if you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button, please hit the like button, and please hit the bell notification to let you know when I'm next on. Joan refuses to, I refuse to go to sleep before the end of the show because I'm old and I can let you go now. Wool, after you drink that rum, make sure in the morning that your wallet is in your pocket, you're casting outside. And on that, thank you very much. I've enjoyed it. I actually have. No script, just, you've kept the show going by asking the questions, keeping the chat going, etc., etc. Really appreciate that. So thank you. I might have to do that. I mean, there'll be details to talk about on Monday. Obviously, the internationals, updates on players and all that sort of stuff as well. So do join me for the Monday night show, the West Ham Weekly on Monday night. And as usual, if there are any other stories or any other things that we need to know about, West Ham wise, I'll sort of update you. I'll do some pre-recorded shows. Who knows? I might even surprise you and do a show when I open one of these bad boys, but probably not. I'll be too pissed. I'll be on the floor, wouldn't be able to move. Thank you all. Much appreciated. Have a great rest of the week. Don't complain about the weather. It's going to go in the next few days. I'm not complaining. I tell you what, I'm sweating my nuts off. It's not only warm in here, I've got lights shining on me as well. Have a great weekend, and I'll see you all very soon.